This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
But thanks for making the trip, Seth Feider.
Yeah.
Always an honor, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
How's your, I suppose you're wrapping up your hunting season?
I've been done with that for a little while, actually,
Sure.
since end of November, and yeah.
Did you hunt a little less this fall than like usual, would you say?
I did, yeah. Had a couple things going on around the house I had to take care of, and yeah, kind of laid a little low, hunted less, and fished a little more, maybe.
Sure. I guess I look at kind of seeing your initial come up in the sport, you know, as a kid, and like to watching you 2D them on a boulder on Mille Lacs to winning AOI, and like I feel like the sports changed more like during like your era of professional fishing than I mean any other era.
Absolutely.
Like I was thinking about that earlier today. Like you've literally gone from like hardly shit for electronics. GPS was there.
Yeah, I had
and some
GPS when I
2D,
started, but yeah.
to now NBT,
Yeah.
big ball and on the front, baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's a challenge. I've felt that challenge, and I guess have you ever kind of looked at that big picture and like what's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I've thought about it. I don't know if it's the best time or worst time to come into the sport, but you know, when I started, it seemed like the prime of your career was a lot older. Like, you know, really, it was in that 40, 45 range was kind of like when you'd see guys really peak with their setup. And like, just as I was coming into that, I feel like it's flipped and jumped right over me now, where it's, you know, maybe your late 20s, early 30s is now your prime. And, you know, when I was in my 20s, prime was, you know, in that 40, 45 range. Then as I crept up to it, with the technology change, it felt like it just leapfrogged right over me. And now I'm like an old guy, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
And,
kind of
like,
weird.
how's that feel? Like,
I feel like I got ripped off, but I can't.
Sure.
I can't complain too much.
right? It's kind of a catch-22
Yeah.
that way. But man, is it one of those things? Like I was talking to Easton about today. I'm like, what would you ask Seth today? First thing he asked me, how's he have so much swagger?
I just born with it. I don't know.
That's born, son. That's born. But his other thing that he's brought up to me before is just he feels like he's at like the end of his age gap, where he did grow up without live scope, and he feels like he built a lot of. Obviously, Gordy's a hell of a walleye angler, and he built a lot of instinct. I think a lot like you and I did, and I think he's a little bit misunderstood that way, but he feels like everybody younger than him, he's scared for him just because of that age gap thing. And it's just interesting hearing that from him, and I think there's a lot of parallels to be made just even further forward. But
What do you mean scared for him? Like, just they
well,
never
he
learned how to fish?
This whole young guys coming up and taking everybody's money, and that prime moving to younger.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that's going to last because of him and like your Drew Gills, and kind of that is kind of your last frontier of guys where as kids they learn fundamentals
Yeah.
and no graph fishing before everything else. And what he's saying is now we've opened Pandora's box, and
Yeah.
it's turned into a rich kid arms race, and you've got all these 11-year-olds that are going to be first bass fishing with a live scope. And
Yeah.
and how do you now it's like when you were on a hockey team and the kid had the synergy or the fucking Z bubble. It's like once you have that, now it's like your kid's mad at you because you're taking it away. And I'm kind of rambling around all over the place here, but I guess like what we think is happening, Easton thinks is kind of not going to happen. He doesn't think there's going to be a gap real soon where you're not going to see the young guys dominate anymore, these newcomers. But that's his thoughts, and I guess I just had never explored
Yeah, I mean,
the bottom side of it.
there's a possibility to that, but I don't see that happening without. I think that would only happen if they took it away from him.
Right, and part of why he is good is because he adopted that at an earlier age, right?
Yeah.
So he spent 5 years traditionally fishing, and then his 6th year
Yeah,
live scope, versus you got to see your career get made without it.
Yeah.
You know? And that to me is the toughest thing about older guys is they've made a career without it.
Yep.
And to relearn and unlearn, you almost have to unlearn a lot of what you've learned and what's got you to where you're at, you know, in a few ways.
Yeah, I don't think you have to unlearn it, but there's definitely another aspect to the game that I have to work on, which is it's a lot easier to do when you're at that younger age, you know. You got no responsibilities. You got,
Right.
you know, you don't have to catch them. Like,
Yeah.
you can just, you know, it was the same way when I was growing up. Like, when I got really good on Tonka and, like, started out, I was just out there every day.
You
know
were
what
good
I mean?
earlier than most.
I didn't have a wife. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a
Right.
mortgage. I didn't have obligations. I was just committed to fishing 100%. Like, that's all I would do. And that's the time where most people are going to learn the most about fishing. Not so much later in life. Just because they have that unlimited amount of time, you know.
Right.
What has he got? You know, what a little bit of schoolwork, and other than that, you're fishing.
He's just fishing now.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm not
but
saying
like,
specifically him, but in that, you know,
a
in your
college
late
angler.
teens, early 20s, I mean, it's just
totally.
all day on the water. And if I had that time to do it, I'd be a lot better at live scope. But for me, it's like I get to fun fish a little bit, but for the most part, dude, I'm driving to a derby, 3 days practice, tournament,
Right.
and then off to the next one, or I got obligations. I got to spend time with my kids, with my wife,
feel
all
that.
that stuff. So I don't have that raw, just few years to just dump into it
Well,
to
not
get
to
really
mention you're
good
in
at it.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
too.
that's
So
the
you
same
haul the
thing.
asshole
So,
back home.
like, I've been sitting at home for a month, and you know, if I lived in Alabama, you know, you could be fishing every day, which I don't have that luxury up here. But that's really kind of the core learning period of your fishing career is when you know, don't have any responsibilities. So I don't have that 3 years to just dump into scoping and get as good with it as I need to be. It's something I just kind of got to work on the fly, and, you know, couple days here, couple days there, and not like how I fished on Tonka, where it was, you know, 5 days a week.
Yeah, dude.
You know, sun up, sun down, like
Work. Putting
just
in
to-
work.
Yeah, just to devote to it. So it's hard for older guys to really have the time to do it.
I feel that, dude. Like, I had some good years. I'm no Seth Feider. I'm not even close, but I've had some good years, and it's like, on a microscopic level, I probably feel like how you feel, but just on a microscopic level, and I feel that. And how do you combat that? I guess I'm feeling the same way, just going into local derby season on how do I combat that, feeling
Yeah.
kind of like behind that 8 ball a little
Yeah.
bit, kind of feeling like I can do it, but I've seen people do it really fucking a lot better than me.
Yeah. Well, it's just changed with the technology. Before, you know, knowledge was the, you know, experience. You know, you did all that, you built all that, you know. Without that technology, you could, you know, I could go show up at a tournament on a little lake somewhere and I could compete, you know, just with knowledge instilled and, you know, fishing patterns and intuition. And I don't think you can do that anymore with the technology.
Well, I mean, let's take a walk down memory lane to some of that intuition stuff like that, because to me, this is stuff I think everybody can appreciate. And I do think it still applies. Like, Minnesota tournaments still ain't getting won 100% scoping. There's too much
Oh, yeah.
grass and
Yeah.
stuff, and that's the luxury, I guess, that we do have up here. But like,
And the forage base has a lot to do with that as well.
totally.
I mean, Shad Lakes, it's 12 months out of the year pretty much where it's going to dominate. Bluegill crawdad eaters like we got up here, they're going to, you know, be more around cover and stuff like that. They're not
Yeah.
going to be floating as much.
Sure. except you got a couple lakes, of course. But like I remember as a kid just watching you come to the Horseshoe Chain, which was my home lake. You know, I spent a ton of time, and you're on the best shit. And I feel like you didn't fish the lake that much, and I think you won the tournament, beat us, and we got like fourth or something. But like to me, that is the stuff I've learned, I guess, later here, and put that together later. But at the time was just so impressed and just humbled by kind of what had happened. And I know that was something that the level of dominance you had in Minnesota was something that is worth talking about a little bit. But I think that intuition and developing some of that kind of as you were coming up, I'm curious about some of that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, Horseshoe, I haven't fished it very much at all. I fished a few tournaments out there. Some of our circuits went there, and really haven't spent a whole lot of time on the lake, but honestly, probably one of my favorite tournament bass lakes in the state, just because I think at that time I'd probably traveled around a little bit, done some regional stuff, and fished out of state a little bit, but yeah, I just really fell in love with that lake immediately. You could pattern fish, you could, that looks good, go over and fish it. It wasn't quite like a Minnetonka where it was like you had to be on this little rock pile out on the tip of this weed point. It was more of a shallow power fishing, catch them on a square bill, catch them on a frog, flipping docks, trees, that kind of stuff. It was a real visual place, and I could just let my instincts or intuition run wild on a place like that. It was just it's a classic bass fishery. It wasn't the, a lot of the lakes we go to are super high populations. You can go out and catch 50, 100 fish, something like that. That was like a grinder's lake.
Yep.
Go get you 8, 9, 10 bites, have 4 or 5 of them be the right ones, and just put it together on the fly. It wasn't a boat draw lake like the north south center
Right.
green lake where it's like, oh, we got to get on this rock pile, and you're gonna have 6 boats around you, and you got to make this cast. It was it's really a baked beaters run and gun power fishing kind of place, and that's just how I like to fish.
And I guess it was tough as a kid, but I'm so grateful. Like I cut my teeth out there. Like I think that made me a better fisherman, having to fish out there.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's one of our better tournament lakes.
I agree, and we don't go there enough because people bitch about it. Because people
they want to catch 52 pounders and stuff like that.
But
and
dude,
that's bass fishing. That lake in Minnesota, that's bass fishing. For the rest of the country, that's not your typical Minnesota lake. And like I said, it wasn't spot on the spot stuff. It wasn't go catch 100 or a boat draw scenario.
Right.
Like a lot of those smaller lakes, like half the people know where the tournament's going to get won.
Yeah.
Like I said, those north-south green type lakes, it's like you got to be here. You're not going to win. And Horseshoe's not that way. That's
you've got fluctuating water. You got smallmouth. You got largemouth. I've seen largemouth over 7 out there that rarely get caught, but there's giants in there.
Yeah.
Dirty water, some clean water, frogging. You want to throw a football jig? Yeah. But I remember you did that on Horseshoe Chain. You did that on Sock Lake. You did that on Green Lake and Spicer, hungover.
Sock was cool. I'd never fished the lake before.
Cut me off 3 times that
rolled
day,
up.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Me and Fig. I forgot what circuit that was.
That was Big Bass Bonanza.
Yeah, that's right. Never been to the lake before. And
I learned a lot
out
that
there,
day.
And we caught a giant. I forgot what we had, but it was.
We had third. We had 2 close. We had third, and we didn't weigh a limit. It was 8 fish limit. We weighed 6, but we had 2 close to 6.
Yeah.
And I remember I was upset because I thought you cut me off, but like I was young and stupid.
Yeah.
And I just wanted that whole stretch up on that North Shore.
Okay.
But,
I'm sorry.
No, you're dude. I'm just giving you shit. I remember those days, and you were on, like you had the time to spend, and you developed kind of that style that you have, way back when. And, it's just cool. But Tonka is really where you dominated. I was talking to Rob Storar, and he said, I had to ask you if you were to give out the 10 Tonka commandments, you're writing the scroll.
Okay. They probably don't apply
The 10 Tonka commandments,
They
ladies.
probably don't apply like they used to, because at the time I was fishing it, it was milfoil was the dominant grass.
So we're talking Old Testament then?
This is Old Testament.
Okay, all right,
okay, so
all
a
right,
lot of these aren't going to apply because of the type of grass they're in now. They're most of the fish are getting caught out of deep coontail now, and before it was all mid to shallow range milfoil. I don't even know if I can remember all the commandments, but rule number 1 is thou shalt not fish in the wind.
Got it.
And that's just a milfoil deal. Like, I don't care if you shook off 100 5-pounders on a spot. If there's a 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing into it, don't go there.
Thou shalt not fish there.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have like 40 flipping schools for every summertime Denny's, and basically on whatever direction the wind was blowing, you could take half of them, and we wouldn't even go to them. And, you know, they could be great spots, but I just know what happens in milfoil when the wind blows on it, and you're just wasting your time.
Does coontail apply the same in your mind?
No. I think you can. I don't think. Just the way they set up on it and where it is, the wind doesn't affect it. I mean, obviously
set up on it different.
Yeah, and they're still going to be around. And like, I mean, if you like I said, you could have the best flipping school in the world. If there's whitecaps rolling into it, you're not getting a bite.
Sure,
it's a giant waste of time. Don't even go there.
Interesting, and that makes sense with how milfoil.
Yeah, it's
up,
a surface type grass, and it'll lay down. You want it standing straight up. Where coontail's a lot more rigid grass. Plus, it's 5 to 15 feet below the surface where it tops out. So I don't think the wind really has the same effect to it.
Well, let's say you find so we're going to get back to the Old Testament, but preluding the New Testament. Let's say you're looking at a coontail edge on a north bank, and when you caught them, it was a west wind at 5, pretty light, and tournament day, it's blowing 10 to 15 into that coontail edge. How are you approaching said coontail edge?
I mean, not really any different, I don't think. I don't have a ton of experience in the
you're good.
coontail. I'm not going to act like I'm a pro on that. Like I said, it wasn't really a deal when I was fishing out there. I just know they can still be caught there with the wind.
Okay.
Where if it's a traditional milfoil flipping spot, you're wasting, you're beating a dead horse.
That makes sense. All right, commandment 2.
I don't even know if I got 10.
Well, they're your commandments. So.
Yeah, I know. You should have asked me this question like 8 years ago.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Second commandment. Well, you kind of got me here. There definitely wasn't 10 of them. I mean, it was really mostly about the wind.
There was one commandment?
Well, not really. There was more.
I'm good with one commandment. What are, I mean, it's got rules of thumb. I mean, don't fish east or don't fish.
There was definitely seasonal times where you needed to be certain places. That was part of the commandments.
So commandment number 2, there's a reason to the season.
For sure.
You can just keep it at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, really the dirty water lakes. Okay, here's some more stuff. The dirty water lakes, really only caught them there in the fall, minus spawners in the spring. Typically, the second Denny's of the year, you really want to be on the west side of the Narrows.
Sure.
They're further along there. That's kind of when stuff starts going. I shouldn't say that dirty. We've had some really good second Denny's of the year out of the dirty water. I never fished Main Lake with the exception of like the August Denny's is the only time to be on the Main Lake.
Sure.
I'm talking like that, from Wyzetta around Big Island. That's the best time of year to be there. I don't know if I call it a commandment, but and then a lot of stuff with the docks in the fall. For some reason in the I don't know how much of the stuff I want to be giving away. I might be jacking Figgy up for his future.
If we need to, just like if you realize that you shouldn't have said it, just say like cut, or I can cut it later.
All right.
Fuck you, Figgy.
I don't even know if this stuff works anymore, but there was like 2 styles of docks we'd fish in the fall. one's better than others. Either dirty water docks, your Halsteads, your West Arm docks, or like really grassy, shallow, flat docks, backs of bays, stuff like that. And that was the same deal with the docks with the wind too. Like there's certain, I mean, I don't know if it plays that much anymore, but like north wind days in the fall, you'd win on boat docks every time. And that last Denny's.
Junk mats?
Huh?
Junk mat boat docks?
Yeah.
That to me is
Yeah.
like, I've learned about junk
on a
mats.
north wind.
I like junk mats.
And on a south wind, it would get one flipping shallow sparse milfoil. That's 6 to 8 foot stuff. I think there's the same fish. They're just bouncing back and forth. But yeah, if you fish the last Denny's of the year, if it blows out of the north, hard docks and dirty docks, I feel like they get on the hard cover. And it's so day to day out there in the fall. Literally, if it blows north Monday, it gets one boat dock, and it blows south Tuesday, it gets one flipping shallow milfoil. That's 6 to 8 stuff. It's not schools. It's like one here, one there.
Sure.
I think they're dock fish that just pull out. But if it blows out of the north, they're on the docks. If it blows out of the south, they're
Pulled out.
in the grass. Yep.
Interesting. So it blows them in. So you're fishing windy docks? Or
No.
Oh, wait. I misheard you.
So North Shore docks, north wind.
Oh, interesting.
I don't mind a dirty dock with a little bit of wind on it, but the grassy docks,
That
I would
actually
want
makes
glass
sense.
calm.
They go out to where the shit...
I don't know. They just get out. It's. I think a lot of it has to do with temperature.
Yep.
The north wind days are obviously, you're bundled up in the morning. It might be a high of 60. South wind day, or you're looking at those, 70, 75 degree fall days. I think that has a lot more to do with it than the actual direction of the wind.
Sure.
But that was another one of the commandments. And I don't care how good you could have shook off 105 pounders the day before on north wind. If it blows out of the south, it won't get one on boat docks.
Gotcha.
Not saying you can't. There's always fish on boat docks. It's just, or you catch 15 pounds or
That's
28 pounds, whatever the
Yeah.
limit is now. I guess
Seems like
24
you gotta
pounds.
commit a
to
little
6
bit.
fish. Oh, absolutely.
That's the tough thing about Tonka for me is you can't run you have to commit. It's to an extent, but you have to adjust to an extent. And I never feel like I have enough time. Like by the time I get to weigh in,
Yeah.
to do all the shit that I want to do.
Those fall tournaments are 100% commit. Like if it's blowing out of the north, you are fishing boat docks from the second you blast off to the second you check in. If it blows out of the south, you're flipping shallow grass
Crazy.
from beginning to end. Just because it's how fall fishing is. You're not going to pull up and just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
It's just a steady grind. I need one big bite an hour.
Yep.
Especially with that grass, that shallow grass flipping deal, that 6 to 8 foot stuff. I mean, that there's no schools in that. There's areas you might get a couple, 2-3 bites, but it could be a 100-yard stretch.
Yeah. So commandment number 3: watch the wind, not your waypoint.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
I don't need to make you come up
some
with
of
like
the,
fucking
a lot of the
a
other,
dozen
some of the stuff
commandments.
was like the channel stuff, like outside of the channels.
Yep.
They're only good when say for example, this won't make much sense unless you fish Tonka, but okay, there's a channel, everyone fishes it. It's in Crystal coming out of North Arm.
Yep.
That's only good with a north wind. Same deal. You could catch 100 of them there the day before. If it blows out south, you're not going to catch them there. And I got a funny story. Fig's probably going to be mad at me for telling this story, but they were there in practice on a north wind. We were fishing around. I think we were all the way down in on the west side by the islands. I don't know exactly what you call that area, but around the islands on the west side,
Oh. By Halstead, you said? Or wait.
it'd be south of there. Around the islands on the west side.
Yep.
Whatever you want to call that.
Wauwatosa.
Sure. Yeah.
Zimmerman's Pass.
So anyways, it's been blowing out of the south all day long. And all of a sudden it laid down and went north. I'm like, we got to go right now. We run all the way over back into Crystal, go to that bridge, pull up, catch a big one. Fig throws in there. Probably shouldn't tell a story, but anyways.
On the bridge?
No, out in front, out by the buoys.
Yep,
you know
yep,
where
yep.
I am.
I do. I
It's a
figured.
community hall, but there's like rules to the stuff.
Dude, I'm
I
going to
mean-
cut out. I feel like I need to cut that out because just me 1,000 people fucking hearing that north wind shit on that. I mean,
It doesn't affect me anymore.
It doesn't. Like,
It's
I'm
just,
just
if
like,
you cut anything, it's for Figgy.
do you want your friend, like, he's a dumb friend if he's friends with you after this.
Okay.
I'm just
you
kidding.
can
I'm
cut
just-
it out. Either way, I'm going to tell a story.
I'll ask him.
Anyways, we drop everything. I'm like, we got to go now. Do we get over there, catch a couple big ones? Fig loses like 2 big ones, goes He-Man, just doubles his drop shot rod over on his knee, breaks it, slams it down. I think we caught one more big one there, and then the wind went back to south. It was just like probably a 20-minute north wind, including like a 10-minute boat ride to get there.
Fuck.
Maybe like a 15-minute boat ride to get there. Make hay, wind goes back south, it's done, it's over. But so stuff like that, just I don't know.
I'm just going to cut the channel name. It's a great story.
Okay, yeah. It was just one of those. We were down a long ways away from there fishing, and all of a sudden, just a little bit of a north wind started, and I just gut check, pack everything up, run over there. Nobody was sitting there. I'm sure
That's
2, 3, 4 people had fished there prior to that during that tournament day, maybe even more.
Oh, for sure.
It's just that little window, and just knowing that stuff, just from experience and spending so much time out there.
Yeah.
We should have won the tournament right there, but we dumped a couple. We still had a good tournament, but just crazy little decision.
That is crazy.
Usually you get more steady wind, so it's more predictable, but it was just kind of a freak little wind was kind of dying off, switched, and then went back. And,
Sure.
Just a little window opened up.
The timing aspect to bass fishing is probably, aside from, it's probably the most important aspect nowadays. Everybody knows where like a lot of bass live, so it's just a matter of how do you, that little of wind can be just enough.
Yeah. It's just enough to change the current. It's another thing with the commandments. There's a lot of current in that lake that doesn't get thought about because it's a lake, not a river. It's not a reservoir. There's not true current on that lake. It's all wind current, but a lot of that stuff with those channels and neck downs and stuff like that, there's certain winds to fish them on, and like I said, little windows like that open up, and usually if you have a steady wind, it'll be good all day, but there's a lot of them that are good with that. And then there's some that are like boat traffic spots. There's a few of them, like rest in peace John Stevenson, his favorite spot on that lake. That is a boat traffic spot,
Really?
no doubt about it. Like a boat goes by, you throw your bait right in the prop wash, because like all I can figure is like, in the calm summer days, those bluegills like to suspend up really high. I think what happens, a boat runs over them, they dart down to get away from the boat. Fish are sitting in the tops of the grass and just kind of waiting for the bluegills to pounce on them. But that spot of his, I mean, it's community hall, we all fish it, but that's a boat traffic spot, no doubt about it. There's nothing else to it really, other than a neck down pushing boats through an exact spot. I mean, there is some structural aspects to it, but nothing that crazy. It's really just some 2 buoys forcing everyone through there, and the boat traffic stirring everything up. Like I think if you fish there at night, you probably won't catch much.
Sure. Well, and that's the crazy thing about Tonka is like, you get intimate enough with that lake, you realize that traffic can be an advantage for you. I remember Champions Tour, I had a horrible first half, and then second half I was boat 5, and I knew everybody was going to be taking off right through this, and I knew there was a big school on where it's going to fucking be doing the thing.
Yeah.
So I parked there, and they fucking, them boats, I swear to God, I feel like they got that school fired up for me second half, and I climbed up like, 10, 15 spots, and it's like, had I not known about that little aspect, but it's like, how many lakes do you fish on the Elite Series where there's little fucking nuances like that you never...
They all got them. You just don't... Yeah. You're not going to know to pick up on that in 3 days of practice.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's
just something from... Like I said, I was out there every day for...
Right.
10 summers or 5 summers. I don't know how long, but...
Right.
I mean...
Current. So commandment number 4, use current to your advantage. How many more are there, would you say?
I don't know. That boat traffic was 1, 2. There's a lot of them that kind of just come to me as they're seasonal, and I'm out there and they just pop in my head. I don't know. If we went out fishing there, more.
Hey guys, Aaron Teal here with Vocelka Fishing and Customs here, and excited to talk to you about my new signature series rod, the Puppet Master. My number one confidence technique is by far offshore power finesse fishing, so we've spent a lot of time and a lot of years creating the perfect bottom contact power finesse rod, specifically designed to fish 3/8 to 3/4 ounce football jigs, tubes, swing heads, dragging a swim bait on the bottom, and any bait that you need to manipulate with your hand and land that fish. This rod is perfect for it. The big thing that we found that was an issue with other rods is they were either too crisp and sensitive, where they were too fast, or they weren't quite sensitive enough and they had the right action. So what Dane built with this rod is the most sensitive bottom contact rod I've ever held in my hands. But the big thing is, on a long cast, it's got the power to drive that hook home, but more importantly, it's got a parabolic action that's going to bend deep down in the rod to make sure that, let's say, football jig or goby tube isn't popping that smallmouth's mouth open and keeping that bait in the back of their head where it belongs, allowing you to have increased leverage and landing more bass. You're going to have to pry this rod from my cold dead hands. This is the Puppet Master. You can find it on VocelkaFishing.com or at Waypoint Angler Supply. Check them out.
Someone would come to me.
Well, I remember as a kid I used to have old stupid like tournament superstitions, like powdered donuts only with this drink and don't eat this till this time. And I've grown out like of a lot of them, and we still have like our superstitions. But like, do you remember like Seth Feider in his prime Minnesota bass fishing superstition, like, and some of those?
Red Bull can in the net was one of them.
No shit.
Yeah, like people always want to like pick it up and throw it in the garbage, and like no, it's like it stays in the bottom. Like we net fish with the Red Bull can in the net. That was one of them.
Like, okay,
like you'd crush your Red Bull in the morning, throw it in the net.
Okay,
and then it would just like be in the bottom of the net all day when you're scooping. That was one of them.
How big of a Nazi were you about it? Like, were you convinced?
Were
you like
1,000%? Yeah, I've had people try to like pick it up and take it out of the net and put it in the garbage, like where it belongs, but that wasn't not an option. Yeah, I got a lot of them.
That's
real.
A fucking good one.
Yeah, lucky underwear, certain stuff like that.
Color boxers, like
no, like the pair, like
one pair.
Yeah. Well,
okay. See, I just had some bad luck pairs, like
this one, or this that AOI season. I wore the same pair of underwear every day of competition. Dude, you make the top 10 cut 4 days in a row.
Fuck yeah.
In the sweat, those things are disgusting.
You do what
like
you gotta
do. Wash them, they still smell. You know what I mean? You'd have to like double wash them. It's bad.
Are you serious?
Oh,
I've never washed something that, I guess, maybe I have, but I've never washed something that had it still like,
oh yeah.
Fuck, we got
4 days in a row fishing?
Oh yeah, no, dude. I mean, I've not showered for 4 days and swassed in a couple different ones, But, but one.
Yeah.
Hey, so did you? So the last couple of years, are you like? Is that under, or did you retire that set?
Yeah, no, I retired. I retired everything I wore that season. I was literally just cleaning out my closet the other day. I got my hat, my jersey, my shoes, my underwear.
Fuck, why'd you do that? Maybe you need those.
Well, I ran them. I didn't retire them immediately after. I fished them the next year, and it wasn't as good. So then I kind of just saved them. So, yeah, I literally got a box with dirt. Well, I guess they're clean, but heavily abused underwear in them.
I respect that, dude.
Yeah.
More than you know. Bananas? Are you?
Bad luck.
I agree.
Yeah.
Fuck bananas. Yeah. Not allowed in my boat.
Yeah.
The people who say otherwise, like, I don't understand.
Yeah. No, that's everyone knows that.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Not everybody. Not
everybody. If they fish, they do.
There's people. There's people.
Is there?
Yes, dude.
Well, I don't fish with them.
You know who you are, you motherfuckers. Stay out of my boat.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah. No bananas. I feel like it's pretty common. Like, I've had a pile of Marshalls, and not one of them's ever popped out a banana and ate it in my boat. They know.
If they did.
Would you immediately over?
You go on a trip and, like, I need a new one? New Marshall?
Well,
Like, swap the whole guy out?
No,
or-
it'd immediately go in the lake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Peeling
that's-
everything. You don't even get to eat it.
That goes back to, like, I mean, that's an ancient pirate's
Oh, yeah.
fucking...
Columbus stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like... You don't fuck with that
I've heard
shit.
2 different rumors why it was bad luck.
I've heard one. I'm curious what you've
Which
heard.
one? The spider one?
Nope, the
Oh.
boats. Bananas on a boat from South America, and people got... all the people on the boat got diseased and died.
From spider bites.
Yeah, that maybe... Yeah.
Well, there's 2 I've heard. One is like, yeah, the bananas would come out of South America and there'd be like some crazy tarantula thing in there that would bite you and you'd die. And the other one I heard was apparently like if you put bananas with other food, it causes everything else to ripen and spoil quicker. So that was the other reason I heard that they didn't want them on the boats because, you know, they'd put them next to whatever, oranges or apples or meat or whatever, and everything would expire really quickly.
both make sense.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard a contrary. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
If it worked for the pirates, I think good enough for us.
totally. That's, I mean, we're a bunch of fucking fishing degenerates. Might as
Yeah.
well be pirates. If the apocalypse comes, that's what I'm going to be
Yeah.
until I die. But do you ever miss, like, fishing derbies in Minnesota? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fishing's,
Simpler
like, good and-
Oh,
yeah.
Those are the best days of my life. Like,
really? Like,
yeah.
looking back?
Dude, like the early 2000 Denny's, like, I don't know. That was, like, the best times of my life.
Fuck
Like,
yeah.
I was, like, friends with everyone who fished the circuit. It was, like, it was the hammers of Minnesota. Like, I don't care what anyone says, the Brainerd guys or, I mean, the River guys got a leg to stand on, definitely, but the rest of the state, like, I don't know. Like, in my opinion, like, if you weren't fishing Denny's, you weren't Durbin in Minnesota. I mean, it was like ravelings, capras. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a tall feat to
for sure.
catch them in a Denny's.
For sure. You had, I mean, I never fished the Denny's as a kid, but I'd fish the Silverados, and I know,
Yeah.
you know, most of the heavy part of that field were Denny's guys,
Yeah.
aside from like your putties and your
Yeah.
what have yous. But what's interesting about Tonka now is it seems like if you want to do good on Tonka, that's the only lake you fish.
That's how it's always been.
That's crazy, man.
That's how it's always been.
It's so much less fun now, though.
It's the most time on the water lake.
It
There
is.
is. Like, if you're consistently winning on Minnetonka, you practice more than everyone else.
I think it takes a special level of insanity nowadays
Yeah.
than it. God, it used to be good.
Yeah, it used to be fun. That's the
Like,
problem.
think about
Like,
that's the only lake you have to fish, and you have all these lakes in Minnesota that you could fish.
Yeah.
But you only fish Minnetonka. The Denny's guys that I know, this is the fucking only lake they fucking fish.
Yeah. But
I'm
when
like,
I was fishing
you are a
it-
special level of insanity, my friend.
It was a really good lake when I was fishing it. Like,
And it's like Gunners. It would be like
Yeah,
a Gunnersville
exactly.
situation.
Like, I could go
when
out and
that
catch-
was going down.
you know, you go catch 100 fish flipping every day with a pile of 4-pounders and a
fucking
couple fives.
awesome.
You know.
No
Where-
need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Unless you
never
wanna
a
catch
good
smallmouth.
big fish lake.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to catch a 6-pounder, like out here was where you had to come.
Yep.
So it was never a really good big fish lake, but for numbers of 3 to 5 pound fish in its prime, there was nothing touching it. It just you couldn't do it on a little lake, you know.
Right. Right. You got. I mean, Tonka's seen some eras. Like you had Moina with the football jig. You had Raveling with the
yeah.
magwort.
Yeah.
You had Capra throughout all
Oh,
of
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You had Liferman. You had Feider. You had. I'm forgetting a bunch of names, so
yeah.
Tonka people, please don't be
Yeah.
upset
No,
with
there's
me.
a lot.
Figgy, I mean Felix, I mean
Yeah.
whatever you want. I mean, there's been a lot of cool shit that's gone down on that lake.
That's the other crazy thing about that little era that came out of the Denny's. We got, one time a couple years ago, we had 3 Elite Series anglers out of that group of people.
Right.
Me, Dougie, and Felix.
Yep.
And throw on another
Yeah.
7 FLW tour guys out of there. I mean, kind
Right.
of guys that flirted around, that
Yep.
did it a couple years, whatever. And then a handful of guys that never even fished
for it.
regionally, your Ravelings, Capras, them type guys, that lifermen that definitely could have but never have in a 50 boat tournament. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
with basically 15 tour level professionals and a little Minnesota 50 boat bass club, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy. And, I mean, it's just cool, the history behind it and just how it's changed. And I guess curious who you think, like, who's a guy from Minnesota that didn't go for it that you think should have and would have done really well?
Obviously Capra and
Yeah.
Shane. Shane's really good.
Fuck. He's got that dog in him.
He does. He honestly made me a much better fisherman.
Same.
Like, I've never wanted to beat anybody so bad. Because,
Same.
like, he'd win and he'd talk shit.
Yeah.
Or if you didn't catch him, he'd talk shit. You know,
Yeah.
most people leave you alone when you don't catch him. You know what I mean?
Totally.
He'd just rub it in, dude.
Oh, God.
He was sitting at the bar drinking beers at Fletcher's after Denny's, and he'd just be... If he won, dude, he was the biggest cocksucker. And like, like I love him, but I hated him at the same time. Like, majority of, like, he made me a better fisherman. Like, made me want to beat him so bad. And like Capper did just as good as Raveling, but he didn't. He was nice to you after the weigh-in, you know. But Shane was just a dick. But like it made me a better fisherman. Like, I wanted to take him down so bad. So yeah, I don't know where it's going.
Shane,
with that,
I feel
but,
like
yeah.
is...
But those guys, they definitely could have gone on to do,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
When Shane's
regional
on and he
tour
pulls
level
up the
stuff.
boat ramp, it's scary.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I don't know, maybe not nowadays.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. So I guess how do you feel about all, like, this is probably the question you get asked by like every fucking podcast, but like rule changes, fucking scoping, not scoping, this, that, and the other thing. I guess, are you happy where things landed? I know you were kind of like, let's go way over here,
Yeah.
or way over here.
That's where I'm at
right?
with it.
So you'd rather
Like-
see it banned than where it's at now, or you'd rather see it fucking
Either-
252s on the bitch
Yeah, either or. I mean, it's
versus
either
where
against.
it's at?
Yeah, I don't like the compromise.
Sure.
It's like the Alabama rig. Is it legal or isn't it?
Fair.
That's like saying, oh, you can throw an Alabama rig, but only 4-wire Alabama rig.
That makes sense.
It's basically what you're doing.
But if you had it exactly your way, what would you choose? Like if it was your decision, you know?
The
That's
technology,
tough, right?
Yeah, the technology's cool, and coming from a selfish place, I would choose to ban it just because I know I would beat the brakes off most of. I would personally do better if it was banned, just the way I fish and
Yep.
how I grew up fishing. Do I think banning it's the right move? Probably not. I mean, I hate to, jump on technology because it's scary or whatever, it's new or whatever. I would just rather see it go one end or the other. Like, at least let me have 2 scopes up front so I can one in perspective and one in live or
Yeah.
forward or whatever you want to call it. Like, I'd rather see that. Yeah, I just, like I said, I'd rather have 4 scopes or no scopes.
That makes sense. How about that new boat?
Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it? We're like, it's all rigged up. If you
Oh yeah, no, I've had
You've
it.
been
I
using
got
it?
it. Yeah, I got it in
September,
September,
I think.
October, something like that. I fished out of it a bunch. Got a bunch of fish out of it, like it, and yeah, looking forward to leaving next week to head south and take her down to Florida.
I'm happy to see you in that boat. I've spent a lot of time in the Vexus boats, and that VX20 is probably my favorite bass boat I've ever run. And I guess, I know talking to you, I never realized how much that stuff made a difference, right? Like you've experienced some shit in the industry where you can't run the best, or you maybe don't feel like you've been hindered by equipment a little bit, and like, or maybe felt that way. How much does it help to have a boat you're super confident in? And
All
how
the
much does
time.
it help to be able to run the electronics that you want to run?
Yeah.
And like, how much of a difference does that make, even just for like going through your head, dude?
Oh
Like,
yeah, just mine. Like, I hated the last boat I had, and it was like, it's basically my office. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
walking into an office you
kinda
hate
gotta
every
like it.
day is like horrible. I haven't really felt that way about any other boat. The boat I had before that I really liked. This boat I really like. So it's nice getting back into, having something I'm comfortable in and enjoy being in, and
yeah.
you know, versus getting in something and it's like, oh man, this again, you know. I was like, I don't know.
Well, I guess you've been in a lot of boats, and that's, I guess, what's cool, and that's, I think, why we could talk boats a little bit. And I'm curious too. I guess, what are some things you look for in like your tournament boat, and what are some things like that you like about that Vexus? You know, that you look for in a boat, that you like in a boat, that people should pay attention to, that they maybe don't on the showroom floor.
Yeah. One for sure is like the vacuum hull.
Oh yeah.
With the fiberglass, I wouldn't even look at a boat really that didn't have that. I think they feel like aluminum boats if they don't have it, and they just don't hold up near as well. And that really shouldn't matter to me since I'm running a boat for a year and getting rid of it. But like if you're purchasing a boat and planning on keeping it for multiple years, like I think it'd be insane not to get one that wasn't vacuum fused or
right.
whatever the wordage is for it. But
vacuum infused or
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's just a way better product than the fiberglass. And then layout's really big for me. Storage, I mean that's the big thing. I think the thing you can deal with the most when you're in a boat, being able to rig in it, keep everything easily accessible where you want it, being able to bring as much stuff as you want, having a lot of storage is really big to me. And then also the layout of it, like, not to knock on Basscats or anything. I ran those for a few years. They have really good storage, but a lot of the compartments are like weird sized and you like can't get what you want in them. And like the lids are weird angles and stuff like that. The rockets, they fly around.
Yeah, no knock on
quality boat, but a lot of the stuff with them is just like, man, if you just did that a little different, I could fit all my tackle right here. And all the compartments were like really weird, but really quality fiberglass, fast boat.
Felt like a quality boat. It was just awkward to me. Like the ones we would take on trade.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they're fun to drive, awesome boat, but yeah,
just the layout. There was really not a bad knock on the boat, other than just like they just did weird stuff with their tackle store or compartments that made stuff like a little awkward, or you wouldn't be able to get the right size stuff in there.
But that Vexus, I guess, to me, it's they're not trying to reinvent the wheel with the layout, but they're putting all the quality like aspects into it. Like everything's nice, built to kind of fucking last, you know what I mean?
And the layout doesn't have to be crazy. I don't think there's like I think that's where Basscat gets too far on the other end where they're trying to do everything all innovative and kind of crazy, but it ends up biting you in the butt. I like that one, just big single lid storage. Like my last boat I had like two little ones and it just kind of like hurt everything and didn't allow you to put as much stuff in it. And I like that one big lid, and then you can run stuff down the sides, down the middle. There's plenty of room in there. I can get all my tackle in there and then that drawer underneath it. And then I don't think people realize when they buy a boat or look at a boat how much time your butt sits on that step up going to the front deck. Like,
yeah.
No one ever like sits on that when they're checking out a boat to buy or whatever, but I'm promising you're going to spend hours upon weeks of your life sitting on that little step up seat. And if it's not like at the right height or the right distance where your legs are, like I've had some of them that are too long so your legs don't get underneath you, or they're the wrong height. And like pretty much every night after a tournament, like multi-day tournaments or the night before a tournament, I'm sitting there for 3, 4, 5 hours going through the boat, rigging everything, getting rods, getting tackle behind me, tying lines, leaders, and all that stuff like that. Like that seat right there needs to be thought about more in boats, because you spend a ton of time sitting right there the night before a tournament rigging up.
And to me, like what Vexus nailed, they didn't carpet it, so like if it's wet, it's got that EVA there. And what's nice, you can sit there, you can open the rod locker and that center compartment at the same time.
And your day box, and you got pliers and tools, scissors, all the stuff you need right there.
Yep. So to me, that's something I noticed in that. Like try to educate consumers on that, because that's the thing, is it's tough buying $100,000 boat off a showroom floor and not noticing some of those things.
They sit behind the driver's seat, they look around a little bit, they walk around on the front deck, and that's pretty much the tour of the boat. But I'm telling you're going to spend a pile of time sitting on that step right there.
Totally.
And I've had boats where it's comfortable, and I've had boats where it's not comfortable, and it kills you when it's not comfortable, dude.
Yeah.
It's 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. You're rigging up rods. You just want to get all your stuff done and go to bed. And, like, if you're in a rough spot, it sucks. So,
Well, and I think about how much people don't think about how much you guys do beat up your bodies in the wind, on the water, and I guess having those like it's
Oh,
only
yeah.
bass boat that exists with airwave pedestals,
Yeah.
and I mean, keep them babies pumped up and like over a season. I just wonder fucking how many elite guys like older ones have bad backs.
all of them.
Well, they all have bad necks after the last 2 years, but
Yeah.
you know,
that's a huge
like,
thing, too.
to me, that's probably one of the biggest selling features of a Vexus is that airwave and the cooler.
Yeah.
Fit 24 cans of
Like you put more
soda
than
in
that
there. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
huge
big
cooler.
cooler's cool.
But
yeah, those air ride
anyway.
seats, like, I don't know if a Vexus has, like, the best riding hull on the market, but with those air ride seats, it feels like the best riding boat out there.
I
Just
don't
because
disagree.
it's taken all that away with you. Like
Yeah.
Phoenix rides really, really nice. Probably one of the smoothest riding boats there is. And I feel like it feels better in a Vexus just because of those seats.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I think if you put regular seats in a Vexus, you would say the ride was better in a Phoenix.
Sure.
But with the air ride seats, it feels better
Yeah.
on the back and stuff like that.
And that's what I mean. Your wife's gonna thank you in 10 years. I think.
Oh, I
You're
know.
still gonna be ready to
Yeah.
go when you get home. You're like, "Yep, light the candles, baby. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go."
No, that's honestly one of the reasons why I had to leave a different boat I was running before. It was like sore. I was sore all the time, rough back, and it wasn't necessarily the ride. It was the style of seat was just really uncomfortable. It kind of had a big bulge in the back, and
Sure.
you were kind of just never really got comfortable. And I was just sore all the time when I was
Sure.
running that boat. And
Tough to fish sore.
yeah,
I mean,
it's not
it's a mental
bad.
sport,
It's
you
not
know?
a big deal if you go out fishing on Saturday for the week and that's it. But when you're doing it, 7 days a week, it makes a huge difference.
For sure. Well, dude, it's sweet to see you in that, and I think hopefully you don't got to worry about some of that stuff this year. And I think it's badass. John Cox is running one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tinner.
Yeah.
Um,
Seen him in the he had the center console out on the
Yeah,
NPFL.
dude, that was fucking
Yeah.
cool. Oh, so graph setup this year. Are you running NBT again?
Yeah, NBT. I got a 86/16 Garmin on the console and a 18-inch NBT up front, and I'm not sure exactly how it's all gonna work. At the moment I have a 16 NBT on the console with the Garmin, but
Sure.
might have to change that up a little bit depending on some stuff they're working on.
Sure. What's kind of been some stuff you're playing with technology-wise, like freshening up? I mean, you saw one of the Johnson brothers win with Perspective this year.
Yeah.
A lot of shit got won with Forward, obviously.
Yeah.
No more side scopes, so that's not a thing. But
Yeah,
like,
that didn't end up being as helpful as I thought it would.
sure.
There's honestly, Leech Lake was probably where it helped the most out of all the places I went to.
Really? I could see that actually.
Yeah, just because you'd get on those the boulders are kind of like in fields and stuff like that, and I could instead of like
See big boulder.
prior to that it was okay, that's a big boulder, mark, and then you got to come back and fish it. But with the side scopes, I could drive by the boulder and you'd see the one was boop 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 boop, 3-4 smallmouth sitting on top of it. You just put a waypoint on that single rock, and I didn't have to waste time getting back up front and
yeah.
checking the big rocks to see if they had fish on them. And a little bit in the early parts of the year, it was okay for finding like bait balls and stuff like that
Sure.
out over water. But that was about the only, honestly, at Leech Lake was the only place it was super helpful,
That makes sense.
having them scopes on the back.
Did you quit smoking?
No?
You can smoke in here.
Okay. No, I got one ready to go.
Yeah,
I was
dude,
about
you
to
can-
light it. All right.
I got you an ashtray.
I'm ready.
Dude, yeah, don't
I was
hold
about-
back.
All right, I was just about to ask.
Yeah, you do not even need to ask. I was like, did he quit smoking?
I have cut back
It's a
a little.
fucking garage.
I have cut back.
Have
a
you?
little. Yeah.
Well, hey, I ain't your daddy. Do you?
Yeah. Well, it's getting a lot of control. You're gonna, yeah. a little oxygen in your lungs.
You do. That's they say.
It can't be all smoke.
Totally. But I guess as back to that question, as far as technology goes, like, is there something that because you said you spent some time this fall, sharpening up. Is there areas of your game you've been kind of just spending more time on?
Yeah, everything with the scope.
Yeah.
Just and even like little stuff, not even necessarily catching fish, not just staying on, just getting better, staying on the bait, staying on, there's an art to that. I mean, like when I started throwing out, I'd throw out, I'm like, oh, where's my bait? Like, oh, there it is. And then a wave would hit you and you're like, oh, I lost it. I can't find it. Just little stuff like that. Like sometimes I would just cast and just, it'd be rough out and it wouldn't even be a fish, I just throw my bait out there and just stay on it, what I mean? Bring it back to the boat, just get better with the, it's all muscle memory stuff,
Right. Right.
And I was, I was doing a lot of overcorrecting before and,
Sure.
just getting a little tighter on that. And then, just trying to, the problem is when I go fishing, like I know I can like throw there and catch one,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But like every time I went out at the end of the year, I made sure I was like scoping.
Okay.
Seeing a fish or seeing something to throw at it, fish the fish instead of like, because I'll do that. And like some of the places I go fish are winter hole smallmouth stuff late in the fall. Like I could literally take a bait and throw it in any direction and catch a fish.
Yep.
And I made sure like everyone I caught was on scope. Like I find myself in those situations like you don't have to look at scope,
Right.
I could throw a jig out there and drag it and catch one. You know what I mean? Or a
Yep.
blade bait or whatever. Like you don't have to scope them, but I made sure that I was seeing every bite, and just scoping instead of, you know what I mean? You could hit spot lock and just blind cast and catch them every cast, but I made sure I was throwing at a fish and
That's so hard to do.
reacting to them. You know what I mean?
I can. It depends where you're at up here, right? But I can attest how that fishing's good enough up here where it can be tough to do that. So,
Yeah.
what's some shit that you feel like you picked up from that this fall? Like just honing in on it, because like you said, you're a dad, you're busy, kids, blah blah
A
blah.
lot of it was, like I said, staying on my bait, making more accurate casts was a big one. Hitting my mark every time, hitting my distances every time, and then like with the minnow stuff, just playing the game with them and getting a better feel for what to do when, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Just letting the fish tell me how they want it and stuff like that.
The epiphanies I've had with scope have been all I wish I knew. Like I wish I knew this a year ago.
Yeah.
Can you relate with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah,
A lot of it.
a couple techniques or little things I picked up just looking back just kind of makes you pissed off like you didn't do it sooner. For me anyway, I'm talking just how I feel,
Yeah.
but
I know what you mean.
it's not as fun as throwing a big jig or doing some of that stuff. But you see a lot of guys being successful with a jig or a Nico. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not all
it's-
just minnow
yeah,
stuff.
I guess that
sure.
to me is something that there is more to scope than just a minnow.
Yeah.
You know,
Minnow's pretty deadly. But
it's
yeah.
fucking damn good. It's tough to
I
beat.
mean,
it.
you can catch uncatchable fish on that bait.
fucking right again.
Yeah. I mean, it's the trick. They're done. I mean, I guess I don't know how to compare it. Like maybe like a spinning wing decoy for duck hunting, or I don't know if you know anything about turkey hunting, but like reaping a strutter out in a field, like
I know nothing of what you
Okay.
just said, but you
All
could
right.
explain it, and I
Yeah.
do like hunting something I want to get into at some point.
But hovering a minnow profile bait over a fish is
it's
way deadlier than the A rig ever was.
right. It's like dangling crack in front of a crackhead who
Exactly.
hadn't had in 2 days.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think? Okay, so from a Minnesota standpoint, do you think it's deadly enough where you feel like you could win any tournament in Minnesota on it at any given time? Like large, because right now that's not happening. I don't think with
I'm
large
kind of out of
mouth.
the scene. I think you could though.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
Not year round. I mean, obviously if they're all spawning, no. But like summertime tournaments and stuff, yeah.
really?
Yeah, I think you
Right
could.
over them schoolers, like offshore schools.
Coontail. I think you could
Yeah.
roll a big Sakamoto over the coontail
Yeah.
and just beat the brakes off
I mean, I
majority
have
of the people.
caught them doing it, but I maybe just haven't done it like enough.
Yeah.
You probably there's something to that for sure.
I think you could, yeah.
Well, think
As anglers, we develop special bonds with our equipment. There's something magical when you find that perfect jig rod and reel combo for a technique that elevates your confidence on the water. Whether it's a perfectly balanced, crisp, and sensitive jig rod that gives you the highest level of control over your bait, allows you to feel every grain of sand, every bite, and allows you to drive that hook clean, or a rod with the perfect action and taper that seems to keep your chatterbait, swim bait, or whatever it is in the back of the bass's head where it belongs no matter where you throw it, or a rod that allows you to effortlessly cast a lighter bait you used to cuss at on your old combo. These types of magical bonds are rare to find in a mass-produced sweatshop, which is why Vocelka Fishing and Customs came to existence, with the sole purpose of bringing you closer to your passion by enhancing the bond with you, your rod, and the bass. Confidence is everything in bass fishing, and there's no bigger boner buster than losing a big fish, not feeling like you can present your bait correctly. The list goes on and on. Mr. Vocelka is a full-blown artesian craftsman who can build you the perfect rod, no matter the size or action, custom, exactly the way you want it. He also has a wide variety to choose from right on his website, including fan favorites like the 8-foot hair jig rod, the drop shot rod, swim bait rod, the chatter chicken rod, the MH workhorse, and more. Even ice fishing. You do the whole frozen Swiss cheese thing, the ice fishing. Seen grumpy old men? Well, you can send that jiggle stick back to the antique store because Mr. Vocelka builds custom ice rods in all sizes and actions too. So head on over to his website, vocelkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com to enhance your confidence on the water, feel your passion, and catch more bass, baby.
about like the chicken when before the fish saw it. Like
Yeah.
it was same thing. Reel it over some coontail and
Yeah.
get a bite.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
And maybe it's not a Sakamata. Maybe it's a big glide. Maybe it's something else. But, I mean, it's hard to beat when you're throwing at a fish every cast.
And do you think that's going to last? I guess.
Yeah.
Really? Do you think they're going to be that? Like that's going to be more? So what do you think is the comparative lasting tool? A Senko? A jig?
No, some baits are timeless. The jig's proven to be one.
Timeless, but it's
Yeah.
not crack like that to every bass.
No.
This is
definitely
better than
not.
that, and you think it will be for longer?
Yeah.
Have we
For sure.
scratched the surface?
There's some more shit coming, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty deadly. I mean, I put it to you this way: I guarantee you, at the time, back in the day, you would consider live bait cheating,
Sure.
right? You pitch a leech to a
Yeah.
bass, he's eating it. I guarantee you can ask any scoper if they'd rather have live bait or a scope, and they'd take a scope.
You're probably right.
I'll guarantee it.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. Everyone would.
Yeah.
But live bait's cheating.
What's interesting to me is they're talking about banning live scope, but live bait is still allowed in walleye tournaments.
Walleye tournaments are. I don't even know what those are.
Do you fish for any other species?
Occasionally, I got a buddy that gets on some crappies. It's every
Okay.
once in a while I'll go with him and
So-
catch a little fish fry, but no, it's just bass.
If you're to pick a number two species, like is there a second species that you would even hold a mention to?
Maybe trout.
Sure.
I can see that being cool.
Yep.
The musky stuff, I don't know. They don't really fight that hard compared to their size. And like, I don't know, musky guys are probably going to roast me for this because they're kind of like fly fishermen where like they're real, like every musky fisherman's like, I use baits the size of the
Yeah.
fish. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the same deal every time. And it's like, okay. But like every
Tiny
one,
dick
like
syndrome.
95% of them get caught with 3 feet of line out and are in the net in 2 seconds.
Yeah, figure eight.
So, I mean,
Well, I bet
muskies are cool, but like for their size, they really don't fight that hard.
I was told
Like
as a
if you
kid,
could you imagine catching a 35-pound smallmouth?
fucker'd pull me in the boat.
He'd spool
Or pull
you.
me in the water.
He would spool you.
Yeah. I was told as a kid that once I caught a muskie, I wouldn't want to catch a bass again, and that never happened.
No.
It didn't. No. It's a lot of, yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with
So
you.
honestly, the next thing to bass would probably be some form of saltwater fishing.
Tarpon or a snook.
I mean, like snook and redfish
Yeah,
stuff. That's
yeah.
probably my speed. I've caught some big fish in the ocean. It gets to a point where it's not fun anymore.
I agree.
Like I don't want to fight something for
2
an
hours.
hour.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Right.
Like
Those-
anything over 5 minutes, I'm done with it.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like tarpon, redfish, snook. I think if it wasn't a bass, that's probably the thing to fish for.
What's that shit they catch in Australia? Is that a bar?
Oh yeah, those look
Those
cool
seem
too.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those look really cool too.
Like, I heard those
kind of forgot
from-
about those.
Those seem like a
Yeah,
bigger pissed
Yeah,
off
yeah.
smallmouth.
Yeah, for sure. Barra.
Barra. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could get into that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're on the other side of the country, so or world.
For sure. Yeah. Here's a weird question for you. If Boyd Duckett buys bass, would you still fish it?
Unfortunately, I'd probably have to.
Would he fish it?
I'm sure, for sure, he'd be in the classic. I mean, I'd have to. There just isn't. What's my other option?
Valid.
With the exception of retiring, I don't really. I mean, maybe NPFLs or something, but
I was going to ask you about that. You got a couple guys double dipping.
Yeah.
And I feel like it, you see those guys do pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's even with scope allowed. And now it's
Yeah.
not allowed. Aside from the director maybe trying to fight you, like, I don't see much
Yeah.
downside besides high
No,
entry.
I was all into fishing it. The schedule just didn't line up really good for me. I wish I would have done. Obviously, it can't cater to me, but if they'd have done the schedule a little differently, I'd have definitely fished them.
Sure.
No
Yeah.
doubt. They just there was a couple tournaments where like we're week on, week off, week on. Their tournament was in between there, and like we got nothing going on now. They could have a tournament, and we got like basically a 2-month break in the summer. They could have jammed a bunch of tournaments, and I'd have been all about. But
Sure.
yeah, they kind of it'd have been a real rough spring doing both for me.
Dude, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Man. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for you
I
guys.
mean, it'd be like 2-3 months straight, like derby every week
yeah, dude.
scenario.
I mean, do you think like divorce papers would be in like at some point like fuck?
No, I don't think
she's
I
cool.
would. Yeah, she's a good one.
Hell yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't want to be gone that much either. I got kids and stuff, so
Totally.
Yeah.
What did you and the kids do for fun? I got to pee, so make it quick.
okay. I just play outside.
Yeah.
They're girls. They like Barbies and princess stuff. And
Any of them like to fish?
yeah, they do. I don't get them out as much as I should. Honestly, I don't even think I haven't had my youngest one out in the boat yet. The other two have. I'll do like a daddy-daughter day and take one day and take one the other day.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I go catch them. But that's still pretty limited. That's a couple dams a year. It's
hard,
each
dude.
one of them. Yeah.
Dude, it's hard. I don't know. Yeah, you're fucking busy as fuck. I got to
Yeah.
pee.
Yeah.
So, I guess you're working with Intune now, which
Yep.
means you have reacquainted with a long lost brethren
Yeah.
who goes by the name of Brian Bankston. Shout out Intune Marine if you're looking for a Vexus, Phoenix, or a new bass boat, new used bass boat in general. JP, Cole, bunch of good buddies there. But what I need to hear is the best childhood Bankston story that you have. I feel
got
like
a good one. Yeah.
like that's what I've been waiting for all episode, baby.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the most memorable one I got, we were in his backyard. I don't know what brought it. I don't know if he got a new bait caster or what the deal was. But either way, he's bombing a frog around in his backyard. And he throws it over by me, and I pick it up, and I'm like pulling on the rod, like, oh, you got one. And that dumbass sets the hook, and buries a snag. I still got the scar right there.
Oh my God.
Buries a snag-proof frog, balls deep into my thumb. The hook ends up going around like some tendon. Like you try to pull it out, my thumb would bend down. I had to go to the hospital. They put like some sheath over the hook and backed it out. And then he's like, I thought you were gonna let go of it. Yeah, he just drove a 4/0 frog hook into my palm. So that was a good Bankston story.
Fucking Bankston.
Yeah.
How old were you guys? Fucking young, I bet.
I don't even know. 15, 16, 14, 12.
I never heard
17,
that
I'm
one.
not sure.
I
but
never heard that one.
Sometime in that ballpark, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
One of a kind, that Bankston guy. He'll
Oh,
sell
yeah.
you a boat. Call Intune Marine 685-3410. Say, I'd like to ask for the guy who hooks Seth Feider with a snag-proof frog.
Yeah. Buried it.
Buried it.
Yeah. Straight braid.
Still got the scar.
Yeah.
I hooked my... He had to pull a hook out of me in a tournament once on the... Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. I just think he's bad luck that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I should let go, but yeah, he lit me up.
So...
Oh, another side note, March 8th.
Oh, yeah.
Open house at Intune, so I'll be there all day. I believe it's a Saturday. If you guys are in
I'll be there,
town
too.
in the area,
I'll be there too.
come down to Intune March 8th. I'll be hanging out.
Heck yeah, dude. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
March 8th. Put it on your calendars, folks. So, I think probably every guy would have this question for a pro, but like, at what point in your career, like before you made the elites or even, I mean, some people, even when you were on the elites, at what point did you feel like you were good enough? Like I'm good enough to be, I'm good enough to be a future angler of the year. Like, or I'm good enough to compete on the elite series. I'm good enough to compete with the best in the world.
Probably around the time lacrosse Mille Lacs, the end of my second year.
So it wasn't until you were on the elites that you felt.
Basically 2 years on the elites.
So what drove you to make that jump then? Like obviously you had dreams and aspirations,
Yeah,
but like I have this struggle of like not feeling like you're good enough. And some of the best anglers, I feel like they have maybe the same ability as the other guy, but there's something in their brain that tells them that they're good enough that makes them finish first versus fifth, right? There's small margins in the sport.
That's
that
the
way.
thing with fishing. It's like there's a finest line between success and failure in this game. But for me, I didn't feel like I could fish with those guys till about then. That just came from the success at that time, having a couple really good tournaments, and then feeling like, there's some guys that, I don't know, confidence is a weird thing. There's guys that, we've all met them. They aren't very good at all, but they think they're the best guy in the world because, they won their club tournament or something like that. They think they can be Kevin Van Dam. For me, it wasn't that way. I was more, I don't have the confidence like that. I needed, kind of the proof and the having the success to give me the confidence. But, there's 1,000 guys out there right now that have, maybe won a couple club derbies that think they can come out and bang with us. And, I don't know. That's just person to person, really.
Yeah.
Like I get the confidence after the success and not before it.
I'm the same way. Like, and that's, I guess, maybe why. But I'm talking like, so I've had years where you win team of the year, you win a bunch of events, and people are like, you should go fish the opens. And I'm like, dude, I don't even feel like I'm close. And I've never felt like I'm close. And I'm not saying that people are telling me to do that, but I've been told that after some good years. And you've had probably similar stuff. And I think making that jump from Minnesota to like the commitment of the opens then, not to mention the commitment of the fucking opens now.
Yeah.
I mean, that to the leap of faith that that in itself requires a level of confidence or insanity or whatever you want to call it, you know?
Yeah. I honestly, the real big push I had was Brad Leiferman.
Sure.
He's the one that told me. He was kind of one of my mentors growing up. And I kind of took 2 stabs at this because I had one of those periods in my career, like 06, 07. I was doing really well, winning a lot of stuff. And then at that point, it was like self-confidence. Like I think it was 07. I fished angler or Silverado and Anglers Lead. I won Angler of the Year on both circuits. I'm like, I can bang. I just want a boat, the Silverado Championship or something like that. I had a little bit of money. Went down, signed up for, it's back when they had the Eastern, Western FLWs. It'd be comparable to an Open, basically.
Sure.
Signed up for 4 of those, fished 2 of them, got my teeth kicked in. Didn't even finish the season. I fished 2 and
Sure.
came home, dropped out, done with it, never going to try it again. Then I got on another roll. Must have been in that 10, 11, 12 years, and Leiferman told me I had to go give it another crack.
Sure.
And then that's when I signed up for the Opens and had good luck my first year and just kind of kept it rolling and ended up qualifying. But he was the one that pushed me to do it again. I'd kind of given up on the whole pro dream. Was just pretty content with staying local, fishing team tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for him telling me to go do it again, I'd probably just be beating on the
Beating
Denny's.
my ass. Yeah, beating everybody's
Beating
ass.
the Denny's, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if somebody's
Yeah,
Yeah,
back
go
to
ahead.
my advice. If you're not winning or consistently placing in the top 5 at the level you're at, it's not time to move on yet. And whether that, that might be you're just fishing a club, win a couple of those clubs, okay, go do some local team tournaments.
Yeah.
And then if you get up to the level where you're winning a couple of those, then maybe start doing like some BFLs and some regional stuff. I see there's a lot of guys in the Opens that have never won a club tournament. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like they just,
Yeah.
they got money, they can do it.
That's crazy.
They're just going to go sign up for the Opens. But I think like I said, if you're not consistently placing in the top 5 at the level you're at, you're not ready to move up to the next level.
Huh.
But
And
I see it all
yeah.
the time. There's, like I said, there's
Yeah.
guys fishing the Opens that have never won a club tournament.
That's what's crazy about the
And
sport.
FLW too are same way. I'm sure the
Yeah.
NPFL's got some guys like that, and
I mean, it's pay to play till you get to till you
the
qualify to
elites
that
is
level.
really, I guess, BPT kind of. Those are the only 2 that you actually have to like qualify to get into, with the exception of like championships and stuff like that.
Right. BPT feels like, so a buddy and I were asking this, if you took the top 5 anglers from BPT and against top 5 in the Elite Series, who would they be? And if they went 5 versus 5 head to head, who would win? And I'm like, I named Jacob Wheeler and Dustin Cannell, and that's the only 2 I could, and a couple others, right?
Top
I
5
couldn't
would-
pick 5 for the elites. I
top-
couldn't pick 5.
Top 5 would be real competitive between the circuits. It's when if you did like a 50 versus 50 is where you'd really see
I agree.
where you'd really see a dramatic difference. But they definitely have some really good. Wheeler can fish anywhere. Like,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Dude's really good.
Cannell, Wheeler, I mean,
top
Drewgill,
top
Becker.
5, it'd be even between the 2 circuits. But I think if you did a top 50 between the circuits, it would be embarrassing for them.
BPT's top heavy, and that,
Yeah.
way more. I would agree. That's the consensus I made. So I wasn't super out to lunch there, but okay. So what's interesting is like if you're not taking top 5 locally, right? But you had like Easton Fothergill kind of skip all of that, kind of,
Yeah.
right? So there,
Some guys can, but
Just crazy.
you're gonna know right away.
Right.
And like same deal with Remitz. Like I remember like growing up as a kid, all of
Yeah,
a sudden I'm
yeah.
watching the Elite Series. They're on Amistad. Derek Remitz is winning the tournament. They're like, he's from Minnesota. I'm like, who?
yep.
Like I've fished every tournament in this state all around Alec, Brainerd,
Yeah.
River, Metro.
Right.
I have no idea who he is.
You're right. That's how I felt.
So there
too.
is a couple that do skip out, but you're gonna know right away
Totally.
if that works. If that's the right path, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? For the most part, I think you're better off working your way up through the stages.
Totally.
But that was kind of the same deal. I just remember that watching it. Like, he's from Minnesota. I'm like, I've never fished against this dude once in my life.
Yeah.
But he could do it. He was really good.
3/4 ounce Omega
Yeah.
football jig,
Yeah.
like Amistad. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was good. I was like, damn. Never heard of her.
Yeah. So there's a few exceptions to that rule, but I think
For
for the
sure.
most part, you're better off just working your way up through
Yeah.
the levels, and that way you're not going bankrupt to find out if you can be a pro fisherman. You know.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, I guess I did shoot out a couple of fans and questions. One guy said, "We want to see Feider back on top. What has he worked on most, or what has he focused on the most to kind of improve for this upcoming season?" And I think, to me, it's like, it's tough, right? Because no matter where you finish, and all my friends and I can attest to this, we know who the fuck you are, and I think the fans know who the hell you are, and it's a matter of Greg Hackney ain't finishing great either, right? But he's still Greg Hackney.
Yeah.
But obviously you still got a dog in you, and I guess, yeah, I think you still got good years left in you, bro.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm definitely working on the scope and stuff, but I think honestly with the schedule we have this year, I can fish a lot more how I want to fish, and
Yeah.
really it seems like the places I struggle the most lately in the last couple of years is when I'm torn between scoping and bassing. When I go out and I know I'm just straight bass fishing, I'm fine. And when I go out like a St. Clair,
Yeah.
where I know I'm just straight scoping, there's no point in doing anything else. I can do well there too. It's when I'm on the bank and not catching them and knowing, or not necessarily that, more when I'm out scoping and not catching them and like, oh dude, I can go flip them bushes there and catch some.
Yeah.
That's when I'm torn. I think when it's more straight up, you need to be on the bank or you need to be scoping, I'm fine that way. It's the in-between ones that hurt me. And, I'm just got to play my strengths better. You know what I mean? When it's a straight scoping deal, I'll scope. And when it's a bass fishing derby, I'll bass fish.
That makes sense. And I guess I have a question on more techniques and stuff. Like, we've seen this JDM craze has been going crazy. And there's so much new stuff coming out on the American side, the Japanese side. We've seen, people win tournaments, catch fish on, new techniques, not a minnow. There's other scoping stuff developed, I guess. What's some new stuff that you've employed kind of in your arsenal with that side of things? Because I know you're into that shit. You're always tinkering and looking for something.
Yeah, I'm just trying some new baits and really getting more defined. Even like the minnow stuff, there's way more to it than the bait. It's more rod, reel, or not necessarily reel, but rod, shake, really just orientation to the fish than anything, versus a specific minnow bait, really.
I've gotten the luxury with Dane. He makes custom fishing rods and stuff, so like getting to try out different spinning poles for shaking and stuff. And I agree with you, dude. Like, there's a huge difference in like the rod action and your ability to, like, a lot of rods you can really overwork that bait and getting that right slack shake. And then I've also noticed with minnows, like, you could say this minnow sucks and you might just be shaking it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned that
for
too.
Sure.
And I think us newbies, or your newbies to, throwing that minnow thing, I guess, if we're talking to Seth Feider in his, younger prime, he's getting intimate with everything he's doing. And I guess shaking a minnow, this ain't just scoping and shaking a minnow. Like, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
There's some intimacy to it. And that's, I guess, What have you noticed with a shaking minnow rod? Because it's like you like to shake a little bigger minnow, and that's kind of becoming, I guess, low key kind of a thing.
Well, I'm
just
kind
in
of
general.
both ends of it. I
Sure.
like real little, like a mooch, or
Yep.
like real big.
Yep.
Like I don't foresee me really fishing anything in that 4 to 5 inch range.
Really?
At all, yeah.
That's
but
crazy.
like I don't know. I shouldn't even be talking about this. Like I'm the last guy to ask about this stuff. But
I think you should be talking about
that's
it.
where I'm at with it. Like real tiny stuff or real big stuff in like middle of the road.
Me and my buddies were
Like,
having this exact
personally,
conversation last
Like,
week. So
these
you-
are better
yeah.
questions for Father Gill, but for me, I'm either going that big or that big and nothing in between.
I think, Father Gibb would say a big minnow and a small minnow, and I think his spectrum, he still messes with that 4 to 5, and see, that is what happens when,
Yeah, I shouldn't be talking about minnows. Like I should be talking about fat jigs. We crashed the galaxy.
enough about the minnows.
Yeah.
Okay, what about, I feel like what I was trying to say with that is there's an advantage, like there's innovation happening on jigs, Nico rigs. Everybody can see where the fish live. I mean,
Yeah.
so everybody's getting the same feedback with most of the fish not biting and some getting to bite. So
Yeah.
it's more about tricking them. And I guess the Nico rig thing, like, what about jig stuff? Like, we've seen new chatterbait stuff come out.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff, I guess, to me, there's chatterbait is still weighing bass on the Elite Series
Yeah, for sure.
every year.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Like, always going to be there. A jig, you probably had the highlight of the year for jig fish on the Elite Series last year.
Yeah.
That tree fish on
Yeah.
Champlain. I mean, it was up for what were they calling those things?
The bassies.
The bassies.
Yeah. It wasn't even a good hook set though.
I wasn't
going
gonna say it. I
It was
wasn't
a
gonna
tight
say
line
it.
pull. They robbed Hackney last year. Same deal.
I gotta be honest. When I saw the category, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I expected a little better hook set. But it bit kind of weird in the tree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I reeled down. I was going away. It
You
just,
catch a fish how you need to catch a fish, like
yeah, that was a lean scenario hook set.
100%.
Yeah.
Justified hook set. But the
neat.
fact that they put it for hook set of the
Yeah,
year,
that's the problem. It's who's picking the clips.
the bag you caught that day, I guarantee you had a better hook set. The fish just maybe wasn't as
Oh
big,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I caught a 6-pounder on a frog. You know, but
right.
they're too busy glitching instead of getting the hook set on that. But yeah,
It seems like there's been a lot of shit about you guys changed the rules like 3 times between now and Thanksgiving.
oh yeah,
Like, what
we got
is-
a committee now.
Yeah, you guys got a committee?
Yeah.
Are you on it?
We're
they
all
take-
technically in it, but there's like 5.
Oh yeah, who's your
reps.
representative?
Drew Benton.
Drew Ben? You
yeah.
happy about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
I just want to know what the freaking, like, after some of the incidents see, I'm so far removed from this, so it's like, you got your YouTube clickbaits capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
And I don't know shit, but I know it's interesting. At least the people want to know how bad it is,
Yeah,
and how if anybody would if you could record that meeting somehow, I bet it would get more views than Bassmaster Live.
well, it's just like a group chat, so you
Okay.
can't really record it. But yeah, it's just a lot of I don't know.
I don't want to turn
There's been
you
like
into
some
it.
bad decision making going on lately, and at least we gotta vote now for how things are going forward.
Yeah, because I feel bad for a good, honest rookie coming into the sport right now, because it seems like there's been a couple bad eggs, kind of really just. That's tough to compete against. Like, not only are they fucking good at scoping, but then you hear that, and it's
Yeah.
like, what?
Well, there was a gray area that's been fixed, but that had been gone on for quite some time. I don't know why it took them so long to fix it, but technically, after a guy, really what they needed to do was not release the schedule till the opens were done, and that would have fixed everything. But the guys were especially with the 9 tournament format, you won't see it as much this year, but you get to that 7th, 8th, 9th tournament, it's if you got a chance of making the elites or not.
I know which rule you're talking about.
And you're probably, the elite stuff's pretty well shaken out by that for qualifiers. There's a few guys that could drop and a few guys that could come in, but you're talking about, less than 10 people that realistically got a shot of being on the elites going into the last tournament.
And those people had an open window to get waypoint.
Teal's Bass Galaxy is now offering intergalactic merchandise. That's right. We got apparel now, baby. Check out our website. We got a variety of apparel, hats, bucket hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all the finest goods. So stop on our website, tealsbassgalaxy.com, click on the apparel tab, and start looking good, baby.
Yeah, and we had a schedule with dates already out, so they had, we're going to be here then, there then, there then, there then, which is really helpful when you're getting waypoints. It's one thing if it's like, oh, we're going to Lake Fork, but Lake Fork in February and Lake Fork in June are 2 entirely different things. But
yeah,
Lake Fork February 24th, you got a pretty good idea where stuff's going to be, and one of them shows up on a river he's never been on and finds the best shell bar on the whole river as far away from takeoff as you could possibly be. I mean, that doesn't just happen. I mean, and we only had 2 days of practice that tournament too because of cancellations. Right. So you got 2 days to look at 200 miles of river and you find the best shell bar that only 4 locals know about. A little coincidental.
Is it 2 guys or is it more than 2 guys?
There's 3 of them. One kind of got away really under the radar.
For sure.
2 of them kind of took all the heat.
Yep.
Well, really, one of them took the majority of the heat.
They're both short, right?
Yeah,
the ones
other
that took
one
the heat.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other one.
And the other one is not small.
Yeah, I know. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's 3 of them.
I just don't want you to get fined. I don't want to turn you into fucking...
Technically, they didn't break a rule. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Well, I shouldn't say that. They did break rules. But for the most part, if they had collected all the information prior to making their first payment to fish on the Elite Series, they did not break a rule. I think there was some stuff going on after that. One of them got DQ'd for it. But yeah,
do you think they sleep good?
Probably. I mean, people like that typically don't have a conscience, so I don't think it bothers them at all.
Yeah.
The worst part I have with it is the one that got DQ'd for it still fishing the Classic.
Right.
Like, how do you get to fish the Classic when you get caught cheating?
That's tough for me.
I have a problem with it, but
That's tough for me.
Is what it is.
Yep.
So hopefully, I think this year we got a lot better crop of rookies. But for the most part, I think we got a lot better, more respectable group this year than we did last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. The problem with it, they don't get punished is the end of the day. Like, if you got 86 from the Elite Series for breaking some of these rules, it would end all this, and the punishments just aren't harsh enough.
Emmett Smith was a great runner and a great dancer.
He was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. But I guess to me that's fucking, it's not why I do this podcast.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's in every, I mean, that shit's going on in your club tournaments too.
Rotten hell, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
If you could go back and redo your whole professional career, would you change anything? And if so, what would you change? If you could do it all over again.
I wouldn't change anything.
Not a fucking thing.
No, because I know how that stuff works. Like, if I change one thing, I might just end up being a carpenter the rest of my life.
Yeah, the
you know
butterfly
what I mean?
effect. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
So I'm not going to change anything. I've definitely made a bunch of mistakes and wish I wouldn't have, but
sure.
I wouldn't go back and change anything just because, like I said, I'd probably just end up being a carpenter and not be on the Elite Series. So
I think that's a good outlook. It's tough, right? Because the next question is going to make that really tough. If you could go back in time and start your professional career in a certain era, not the era that you started it in, which era would you choose and why? And then if you could bring something back in time with you from today, what would you bring and why?
All right, I would go back and I'd be fishing. I would want my career to span from the 90s to the late 90s to 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was like peak bass fishing, I think. Like I'd like to be duking it out with Denny Brower,
Get in
flipping
on some of
jigs
that
and stuff.
Irwin, like that Irwin time.
I think the only thing I'd maybe bring is string. Like, because a lot of that flipping stuff was going on with mono back then. So if I could bring some, some good braid and fluoro,
Wow.
to that time frame.
Wow.
So I didn't have to flip with monofilament. And just duke it out with Denny Brower every week on jig flipping.
You're like, motherfucker, I got an FG knot and a fucking...
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Dude, you'd be tying this knot like before the Derby with like this 2 lines that
Yeah.
they'd never seen
Oh, yeah.
before.
Blow their
And you'd
mind.
be like not telling nobody.
Yeah.
It'd be mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke Clausen, who? Fuck.
Yeah.
Pussy.
I just want to go back and duke it out with Denny when it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
straight up black blue jig up the river. Let's go.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you catch any fish on a tube this year or last year? Because the first time we talked, like, because
Oh yeah.
like Mark Zona's my spirit animal because of the fucking Goby tube, and I feel like I'm crazy like him. Maybe not as crazy, but did you weigh some on a tube?
Yeah, for sure.
It's fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
Some
No, tube's a
music.
staple. I actually got a badass tube coming out. It'll be out in ICAST maybe.
So I've been talking to Bradley enough to know that there's some cooking going on in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got
And-
lots of stuff cooking in the kitchen.
So, like, you're not the outcast, no longer.
No, I'm done with Outcast Tackle,
Okay.
which is pretty much like
Wow. I feel like you
My
made
brand.
you made Outcast Tackle.
yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's some. Have you announced like?
No, I have
feel
not.
like that's just
Honestly,
been
this,
silent
this is the
news.
first time I could talk about it because I was
Sure.
with him through the end of the year, and now it's the new year. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm no longer with Outcast Tackle.
So now, like, that's because talking to Bradley. Okay, I
Yeah.
know more than everybody who's listening to this right now. So like for me, I'm like, dude, that's exciting. Like that's some cool shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's like I understand I'm maybe not good enough to ever fish the Elite Series, but man, I love bass fishing so fucking much, dude. And like, what you're doing is, in my mind, like the next best thing.
Yeah, we got some cool shit coming.
So
Some really cool stuff.
I guess what are we allowed to talk about? Like, can we
I
say
don't even know.
right now? So far, we've said you've got a lot of cool shit coming out, which
Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to think where that imagination would lead for said listener. It would lead me to he's with a new company or he's cooking in the kitchen himself.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'm not by myself.
I know.
I got some hammers with me.
So there is so kind of like the Elite Series formed a committee, there's been a few anglers that have gotten together and said, it's kind of like if you're a plumber working for a big plumbing company for a while and you're like, you know what? I'm going to plumb my own toilets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys are plumbing your own toilets.
Yeah. I can do it better.
To me, I think what American fishing tackle, what has become lost with it is the fact that it should be better. When you come out with something new, when you come
Yeah.
out with new shit, like that's the thing that frustrates me the most is there's more spent on the fucking camera guy than the quality of the tackle
Yeah.
sometimes. And,
Oh, yeah.
and to me, that's what I do appreciate about Japan or,
Yeah.
that culture
Oh yeah,
is.
this is gonna be a lot like that.
And to me, that we need that, and I believe in that. I truly believe in the small American handmade
Yeah.
tackle business because I feel like that's where quality originates. I feel like that's where innovation's born. I feel like that's where like the magic happens. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, most of the big companies take credit for all the things that we throw today, which were guarantee you most likely built in a garage at some point before they were bought. And the guy who fucking invented that probably got no credit for it. So it's like, but now you've got private equity buying everything, and tackle SKUs are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And to me, your window right now is good.
Yeah.
For doing exactly what you're doing.
And we got a different, this isn't about, profitability or, we're not skimping on anything to make 30 more cents on a deal or whatever that is. Like, the stuff we're coming out with is in my opinion, is going to be the best stuff you can buy.
Truly, like, how many fucking baits have you bought that have a pro's name on them that had nothing to do with that lure? And I'm not talking about the fighter jig. I'm not talking about, stuff that you come out with, but in general. Now, it's all coming from, like, dude. If Aaron Martins could have just had full R&D control on a bait company in 1999, I mean, we saw a few inklings probably from what his brain created, but if companies actually
Picasso, mass produced, cheapened,
exactly,
even some stuff they don't even want to cheapen. Just the process of making it has to go overseas, and not perfect.
No knock on the fighter fly, but you can never mass produce fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
the same. Yeah. Same deal here. Like, you get one, it's gonna look just how it would if I tied it on. The same, even with the fighter flies. Like, I always tied my own.
Oh yeah, same. I don't. Yeah.
Like, the store bought ones were not consistent. There were some few good ones out there. Oh, they would all work.
They all
could catch fish on every one of those, but they weren't perfect.
But when you got
like, I'm gonna tie my own.
Yeah, when the amount of time you fucking spend, the money you spend,
and like,
a bitch to tie, but I'm gonna tie my own too. Yeah.
These are good. I mean, I'm excited to talk about. I don't know how much you can talk about it, but
if you want to talk and I cut later, we can do that. I guess I love that, and I guess I believe in that kind of stuff, and I truly want to help with that however I can, because I believe in handmade.
Essentially,
shit like that.
I mean, we're gonna our whatever goal is to be, basically the. I don't know what to compare it to. I always go back to the Megabass jerkbait, but like the Megabass of jigs, like, our shit's gonna be the best hook you can possibly get. Hand tied skirts, weed guards to perfection, colors insane, like, just the best shit you can possibly make. Our stuff it ain't gonna be cheap.
It shouldn't be.
No,
it shouldn't be.
But that's where I go back to that Megabass thing. Everybody's buying 110s or $25 a piece. You can buy any jerkbait on the planet for half as much, but you keep buying it because, in your opinion, it's the best one made. And that's kind of where our jigs are going. It's going to be the highest quality of stuff.
I pay $10 a jig for that, because there ain't another one like it.
Yeah,
like that kind of
that's
thing.
Where our stuff's going to be. Real nice. The best hook you can get. Like, every single bait we're gonna have is gonna have a coated hook in it. We're gonna have all different kinds of hooks. It's not gonna be exclusive to
I love that.
VMC. We're gonna have,
well, one hook company makes the best trebles. One hook company. Thank you. That's what Dane does with rods, by the way. This podcast is brought to you by Vocelka Fishing and Customs.
Anyway. Some of our jigs are going to have VMC hooks in them. Some of them are going to have owners. Some of them are going to have Gamakatsu. Some might have BKKs in them. Whatever is the perfect hook for that style of jig, it's going to have in it.
Yeah.
They're all going to be coated. Half our stuff's going to be tungsten, half lead. Our skirts are insane.
Doing any round rubber?
You're about to see some perfect jigs at this time. I mean, some stuff might come down the year.
Didn't even know they wanted.
A couple years from now, that might make it better, and we will change it if something comes out that can make it better. But
will you do a mop?
We got all kinds of stuff coming.
I want a big mop. We got rubber.
We got all kinds of stuff coming.
I want a big daddy mop.
Yeah, scissors in your hands, man.
Oh my god. Well, them baby footballs have come out and come pretty popular, and I haven't found one better than that one. but I can't get them, like enough of them.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't snag, and every fucking fish is pinned
Yeah.
for some reason. But people have varying opinions, but every other hook
We
I
got a
bent
guy-
out. I bent out every other hook. that
Yeah.
I use.
Oh, we won't have that issues with
Yeah.
ours. They'll all be stout enough.
What do you look for in a
I'm
jig
not working on that jig, but we got a guy that throws it quite a bit.
I mean,
He's really good at bass fishing.
I'll listen to him.
Yeah, I listen to him too. That's not my scenario. I got 3 flipping jigs and a swim jig coming. I got the guy that's building jigs similar to that, and then obviously we got minnow heads, swim heads, net heads, football jigs, all that stuff. Then we got some Florida stuff coming. We got a Florida hammer doing big grass jigs, big swim jigs.
So you're like this
super
is
magnums, because I'm not that heavy on the hook. I like a good.
No, not till you get to Florida and
I like a good hook, but then there's another. I'm the 30, 40 pound braid to a leader, straight fluoro guy.
There's 3 stages.
That's
of
my
swim
hook.
jig.
Yep. He's the 65 pound braid, 8-foot pool cue. That's his jig. So I mean, everything's built on systems and stuff. Like I said, I got 3 variations of a flipping jig and the swim jig that works for me coming out.
So you've had some, what are some things that you're excited about with these jigs? Because you've come out with some jigs before.
I have, but I've never gotten a chance to get them really right. They've always kind of, and a lot of that stuff I've learned, before. Like, a lot of the problems were with the tungsten. Like, people don't know this, but tungsten mold, every time you pour it, it changes. I mean, it's tiny. It's tiny, but you start out with that and you run 1,000 batches of jigs through it, it's not going to look like that.
Really?
It moves every time you do it. So I honestly, I can't bash on them too much. But working with Outcast, if you really look at the jigs year to year to year to year, my jigs have morphed into not what they started out to be. Just because those molds have been, it has to get so hot it changes the actual mold every time you pour tungsten out of them. So those jigs, if you look at them over the years, the head shape actually changes on them.
That's crazy.
Because of the heat that's required to pour tungsten and stuff like that. I worked on the stealth jig for 6 years and never really got it perfect.
Sure.
And it's hard with tungsten because tungsten molds are crazy expensive. So making little changes and stuff like that are hard to do. It's easy to do in lead, but that jig doesn't fish the same lead to tungsten. Sure. All you can do is get a really educated guess with a lead mold and then hope it translates into tungsten. And then stuff with the fly and stuff like that. And I've had the same problem with rods and stuff too. Like you get a sample of something and then you go out, a few times, you catch them really good on it. Yeah, it's perfect. But then, with my hair jig rod, I started out with that, went out, fished it a bunch. Yep, it's good to go. But now after, hair jigging for 10 years, it's it's not really the right rod.
A little stiff.
Mine's too stiff. It is. It'll still work, but it's not perfect.
Right.
And a lot of stuff happened, and then with the fly and stuff, with the hook and stuff, it was never perfect. But you get that first sample, you go up to Mille Lacs, you catch 50 on it, you don't lose one. You're like, yeah, it's the deal. But over the course of 5 years, I lost this one at the St. Lawrence River, lost that one at Champlain, and it's it's not perfect.
Sure.
So the stuff like that just takes time. And I used to jump in and you have test it a very little bit, have quick success with it. Yep, it's good. And it's really you need to work on stuff for years to make it perfect.
Sure. That's so cool to me.
Yeah, I really like it. It's one of my favorite parts of this.
I'm so into that shit, dude.
I'm really excited for this new project coming out. I think we're going to have, I know for a fact we'll hands down have the best jigs on the market. They might be priced a little higher than people want to pay, but
they'll pay it, dude, because
I don't think you're going to find anything better.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. I pay more for a certain jig because it gets hung less in wood.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when I'm fucking making a flip in wood, looking for a big bite,
Yeah.
and my jig hook buries in that
Oh,
wood,
yeah. It's over.
it's over. So either I'm breaking that jig off, or
Yeah.
or I'm going up and fucking that fish
Yeah.
up. So paying extra for that jig not to hang up in wood as often,
Yeah.
worth fucking.
Oh, yeah.
That's, I mean, jigs are if until you like, if you've been doing it a while, there's so much more to a jig than
Oh, yeah.
like when you first start out fishing. I remember first couple jigs I bought, it's like, I just need some jigs.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh fuck, there's a football jig. There's
Yeah.
fucking jig's not just a jig.
No.
No, they're beautiful creations.
Yeah.
That should be appreciated.
Yeah. And it's a timeless bait.
Timeless. Still
It'll
catches
catch them from 100 years from now. You'll be able to catch them on a black blue jig, guarantee it.
Promise you. I bet you can catch them on a better black and blue jig today because less people are throwing it. I don't know. It's like, I bet the black and blue jig has been thrown less this year than it did last year, and less than the year. Like, I bet the black and blue jig's getting thrown less every year at them fish.
Probably right now, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's nobody. You know what I love about Seth Feider? Some of the advice he gave tonight was to throw a black and blue jig. It's fucking good advice.
It's timeless.
It's fucking good advice. Like, people forget that's good advice.
It works, man.
People forget that's good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you're on an alien planet and we live in a simulation. You get to design that simulation, and now you get to build the bass fishing lake that you want to build in the climate that you want to build, like full on. I'm the creator. Stick marsh,
Okay.
I'm or whatever lake. Let's say Fighter could build his perfect bass fishing lake. Where in terms of the Mason-Dixon is it, and then how is it laid out? And or fuck it, we're on a new planet.
Okay.
Design me a lake of a fighter, Lake
Okay.
Fighter. What does Lake Fighter look like?
It's gonna be a river lake. I guess like a big backwater off of let's use on Alaska for an example.
Yep.
It's gonna look something like that, where you got a big giant area full of submerged grass, fed by a bunch of river systems, a bunch of just little forks and fingers and all that stuff, like thousands of them. It's gonna be dirty up in the river, clear on the bottom. You're gonna have topped out 15-foot deep milfoil at the bottom end of it, and it's just gonna gradually get shallower and dirtier the further we go up it, and more current. And I guess it'd be, I don't know, Texas-ish as far as heat. We need the heat to grow the big fish.
Right.
And I definitely don't want to be able to not go out there because it's frozen. So,
I mean, we could go to Mexico at that point and reduce some pressure.
yeah, there we go. Mexican heat, and yeah, it's basically on Alaska, 5 times bigger at the bottom end with 200 more creeks dumping into the top of it.
Green and brown ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay, and then since it's your lake, you get to decide, what food boat delivery service is on that lake. Is it a taco pontoon?
Okay.
There's a pontoon
All right.
that
Yeah.
delivers food on Lake Fighter. Is it McRibs? Is it fucking...
No, it's gonna be tacos.
That's what I would
Yeah.
pick. Based on the
Nice.
climate you
Yeah.
chose. I mean,
And mix it up. You can do shrimp and beef and chicken and kind of get all your stuff mixed in there.
is there a bar?
Corn tortillas. Yeah, it's got Coronas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ripe limes and yeah.
Public access, private access, or like, oh, I got it.
No, it's public. It's public, but it's 80 miles of rutted out gravel to get to it.
And you have a private access on the other side.
No.
You're just willing to.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got to be able to trash your boat to go to it.
I love that.
Yeah. It's public. You just got to you got
Gotta
to
grab your balls.
Yeah, like your boat ain't gonna be pretty when you come back. Yeah.
Any other obstacles for a diehard? Gators, fucking anything like
No, I don't want nothing eating bass.
forage?
Forage is gonna be bluegill, shad, crawdads, and the only reason I'm putting shad in there is for the shad spawn.
You like the shad spawn?
Oh yeah,
That's
I love the shad spawn.
We don't get to fuck with that much
No,
up here
at all, zero.
No.
I mean it must take place on the river somewhere because there
assume.
is shad, but I've never experienced it.
Go down like in the fall there because it's like north.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I think the
That'd
problem
be a
is
question
there's
for
not
Cade.
a lot of threadfin in the river system. Like we got a lot of emerald shiners and a lot of big gizzards, and the big gizzard shad spawn's a lot different than a threadfin shad spawn.
Gizzards in the fall, right? Threadfins in the.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I know. I think gizzards do it in the spring as well, but they're like weird, like clay point, and it's not like gizzards don't have the population the threadfin do. So like
Yep.
a gizzard spawn might be like 6 shad.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where a threadfin is just balls of them. You know what I mean?
Sure. I've always been curious about fucking. So I got on a weird bite with Dane on Cab Togama earlier this year for smallmouth. And I'm like 90% sure it was a shiner spawn, like
Okay.
spring shiner spawn. Like we were on a jerkbait hair jig kind of, and then little light minnow thing in practice. And then it was really windy tournament day, and I just had a gut instinct to tie like a spinnerbait on. And I fucking just started gut wrenching them.
Yeah.
But patterning the shiner spawn, I had people asking me like, "Yo, what's up with the? What do you know about like other bait species spawning?" Because I know for a fact you are like a bigger nerd, and like you know shit about shit that like most people are like, "What?"
The shiner
Baits.
spawn, I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know a ton.
shad, bluegill, and tulipy, whatever you want to call them, spawn. I know a bit about.
Tulipy, bluegill, and then I know the shiner. There's a shiner deal that goes down in the spring and the fall.
Okay.
That's the reason I think you catch them good on a spinnerbait in the fall, and I think it's I don't know, the reason them fish load up in some of them places pre-spawn too.
Yeah.
But like the shiner thing, I feel like there's some guys in Minnesota that I've talked to that have that pretty dialed that
Okay.
I do not. Bluegill spawn, I feel like that's a sleepy player everywhere in the country.
It is.
And I feel like I don't know when. It seems like they might fucking spawn all summer.
They do.
Though.
They do.
Okay.
The
What do you know about bluegill spawning?
real moon phased?
Really?
Yep. Big
Okay.
time on the full moon. Basically a bluegill spawn. There must be a water temp they really like.
Sure.
I'm not it's got to be in that upper 60s, lower 70s. Because what I've noticed with it is it starts shallow and just keeps getting deeper. Like your end of May or June bluegill spawn, it's on the bank, it's inside weed lines, it's right where the bass were spawning, the ones you
Yep.
can see anyways.
Yep.
You know, and then like that July, it's kind of like the weed line stuff.
Yep.
And then like the August is like deep rock. Like
Makes no
20
sense.
plus
Yeah.
foot rock. You'll see the bluegill beds out there. That I think that those are moving like that based on water temperature in my head, because you know when they do it up shallow, that's when the water temp's 68, 72, 75, whatever it may be. And then you know end of June, July, it's kind of out in that mid-depth stuff, and then August it's in the super deep. So all I can figure is, you know, when that August full moon hits, that 20-foot deep rock stuff's probably in that 72-degree range.
That makes perfect
Whereas,
sense.
you know, because you don't see it up shallow
Right.
in August, but you go side scan a deep rock spot in August, and it's lit up with bluegill beds.
What's your best, like, what's your favorite way to attack bluegill beds? Because, like,
Swim jig,
swim jig?
probably.
Even in 24.
Or top water, yeah, even deep.
August?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So-
or like a Nico.
Yep.
The problem with the Nico is the bluegills just get on it so hard, it's hard to...
You almost just got to, like, wait till bass
Yeah,
grabs
it's
it.
kind of one of them deals. You just let them drag it around, and then a bass will get it. But like a big swim jig.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh. I feel like that's a sleepy pattern, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
The problem is it's
It's hit or miss.
so hit or miss. Like, you don't know how many times a day before at Denny's I had a bluegill bed that just had like 6 giants swimming around on it, and you go back there the next day and catch 1 2-pounder.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. It's just they're wolf packers on the
Right.
on the bluegill beds, and it's not consistent.
What about perch? You know anything about?
Not a clue.
I know they don't like to get too far off the bottom, and I know
Yeah,
that
try
a
to
lot of
stay
fish
away-
eat them.
I stay away from perch.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that
They're skinny fish.
they are? So is that more an elite series thing or a Minnesota thing? Because I feel like some
No,
lakes
it's
they
just
don't have
around
an
the
option.
country, yeah. Even
Some lakes I feel like they don't have an option though.
crawdads.
Fair.
Crawdad
Fair.
fish will outweigh perch fish every time.
Fair.
Every time.
I always prefer to look for crawdad fish
Yeah.
myself.
Perch
but-
fish they're skinny, and they seem to move more than a crawdad fish will.
They do. So I guess I'm gonna grab a beer, but I am curious, like how you're identifying, because like St. Clair, fuck, they're how are same spot. It seems like you just gauge the fish.
It's not the same. It's areas.
Yeah, like crawfish, harder bottom. I mean,
Not
right?
necessarily. Not
Really?
on. Not on St. Clair. They think they really like that perch grass stuff. I'll step out
That's
too.
what-
I got a piss.
That's what I was gonna say. Anyway, we were talking about St. Clair crawfish versus perch.
Yeah.
And I guess from what you told me, was it just crawfish don't live on the main lake? Like, walk me through that one more time.
They do, but there's one area that they must have been heavier in.
Sure.
There's crawdad and perch throughout the whole lake, but that area had a lot more grass in it, and I think the crawdads were hanging in there a lot more.
Sure.
Versus a lot of the main lake was pretty clean, short grass, and they were just eating perch. You're catching the same fish. They're 19, 20, 21 inch smallmouths. The perch fish were weighing 3.5 to 4 pounds, and the crawdad, same fish lengthwise.
Yeah.
Crawdad fish were 4.5, 5 pounds. So
And that's crazy. That lake seems like such a fucking slot machine to me.
it is. It is.
Like, that seems like spotted bass fishing on Hartwell. Like, just, well, maybe not with scope, I guess. if you're
Anyone
good
can win
with
a
it.
tournament on St. Clair.
That's what's crazy.
Anyone.
That makes it so much less appealing.
Yeah.
Or more appealing for a
It's
guy
one of
like
my
me,
least
but-
favorite smallmouth fisheries, which is a shame because it's so good and it's got so many big fish in it.
It's probably
But
my
the way
favorite
it
tournament I've ever
fishes-
watched was you on St. Clair.
I know I had a good
Fucking-
one. I had one good week there, but
It's fucking insane.
like that could have been anybody. You know what I mean?
I
That
get
could have
it. I
been
get what you're
Scott
saying.
Martin or someone who's never caught a smallmouth. Like whoever found that spot was going to win the tournament.
But I don't know, man. Like, not to
Like,
argue with you,
see
because
it all the time though. Like
everybody who pulled in on you didn't catch them as good, and you're throwing a plug.
yeah, well that's because I was cranking and they're afraid to crank.
You're catching better. But what I'm
Bigger.
saying is Scott Martin probably wouldn't have pulled up and cranked it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
like pre-scope. Like St. Clair has just always been a weird place. Like Jason Christie's won a couple tournaments there. Chris Lane won a tournament there.
That's right. I
Bill
forgot about
Weidler
that.
won a tournament there. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Frank-
one of them places where, you know, typically before scope, when we go to like a St. Lawrence River
Grigsby won a tournament.
or, you know, Champlain, your historic smallmouth guys would
Yeah.
dominate the guys from down south. Champlain or St. Clair was never that way. I mean, you'd see Davey Height winning tournaments there. You know, guys that don't smallmouth fish.
Right. Champlain kind of seemed that way too, though. Champlain seems like a lake that Southern boys do well on, but I feel like it's the most traveled to.
I wouldn't.
Place,
I went
but-
not on smallmouths
No?
pre-scope. I
Sure.
wouldn't say. Now.
I guess I'm just
with
thinking
scope,
old Edwin Evers days or something.
I don't ever remember him catching them on Champlain.
I'm probably thinking the tournament. It was probably Oneida. I always get Champlain and Oneida mixed
yeah.
up.
Boy,
I
Duckett won
remember.
a tournament on Oneida.
Yep, Evers was catching smallmouth on Oneida. The tournament Tommy Biffle won,
Yep.
flipping a beaver. So, my apologies.
Yep.
Anyway, getting lost in the
I don't know
fucking
where I was
weeds here.
going. Yeah.
That was my bad.
Yeah.
I got
No
in the
worries.
weeds.
But yeah, like St. Clair's. Like I said, anybody could win there.
So, like, for a Minnesota guy trying to find perch or or
I'm not
crawfish fish.
I'm not
That's
looking
like-
for them. I'm just judging the fish I'm catching.
Sure, girth.
Yep.
That's
When
what I
I'm
was
not
getting
going
at.
out and scanning crawdads, but
I get
when I
that.
reel one up and he pukes up perch this big, I don't want to be anywhere around him.
That makes sense.
When you reel him up and he's spitting out crawdads that big, that's where I want to be.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So, like I said, I'm not looking for anything. I'm just paying attention to what they're puking up. Like anytime you're around fish eating little bait, you don't want it. I mean, sometimes it's the only option, but and you see that a lot on the river in the spring. They're eating them little emerald shiners and stuff like that. But in a lake or a place or a scenario where I can avoid that, I will.
Sure. That makes sense.
They're just going to run, especially on smallmouth, because they're all the same size.
They're fucking skinny.
I mean, you're always dealing with 18 to 21 inch fish. That's what you're fishing for in a smallmouth tournament. It's all about girth.
Right. I don't disagree whatsoever. Mille Lacs, I remember.
And the weights are always really tight. You know what I mean?
Totally on St.
A
Clair.
pound is 20 spots.
Yeah.
Over 5 fish, a pound's, less than 4 ounces of fish.
You could be 50 feet off. You could be, it's
So
such a...
it really makes a huge difference in smallmouth fishing.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. Forget what I was going to ask, but girth, I guess.
You said something about Mille Lacs.
Oh, yeah. Yes, no, I remember now. I remember finding a few spots on Mille Lacs, like in the... It seems like there's less crawfish there today, but when it was like peak crawfish, there would be like areas where, I swear to God, they were like crawfish burrows. Like spots where there was heavy crawfish and you could see on side imaging, you know how like you could see bluegill beds like it's fucking stick out like a sore thumb. It was like that, but like it was like holes.
Really?
And they were more spaced out.
Okay.
And it was like right next to 3 Mile.
Okay.
Like on one side. And it was like, I remember back in the day, it was like a thing. Like you found that area, they lived near that. That's the only time I can ever think of like scanning a crawfish fucking spot.
You'll see them a lot on the river on those cut banks.
Really? That
Crawfish holes. You'll see them visually with your eyes, yeah.
Like that same thing I'm talking about?
I mean, holes like that big in the mud bank.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's that makes sense. I wonder if that's a little Cade sneak trick and you're just fucking up Figgy and Cade's all
Probably.
his shit.
I'm the worst.
Cade took me to Monticello last fall.
Oh, yeah?
Real good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
He's
him.
a fishing nut.
Dude, he is.
Like the most obsessed with fishing out of anybody I've ever met.
Get along good with him.
Like most people quit in November, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna break open the boat ramp and take my duck boat to this little area and go catch fucking 10 bucket heads when it's 20 degrees out."
I feel like I'm the most insane bass fisherman I know, and there's 2 people I feel like I know that could maybe top that. It's Hayden Anderson and Cade Laufenberg.
Yeah,
Those guys
Cade's
are fucking
insane.
hard at
Yeah.
it. He's got a lot of respect.
He was probably
for you.
bass fishing today.
Yeah, I bet he was. Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah, dude. Like, he's got like he's like a janitor by night, fisherman by day.
Yeah.
But, so
No, he's taught me some cool shit, some cool frogging shit.
I guess I feel like you've done so many like different grass seminars and shit like that. I'm curious, like just what we could learn about grass from you today, because I feel like we could do 4 hours on that. Like to really do
Honestly,
it right. Like,
to be honest with you, I don't think I can teach you a whole lot anymore. For some reason, I don't know what's going on, but it seems like the art of milfoil fishing's dying. Like I don't even like catch them in it anymore.
And either.
Yeah, like they're all coontail. The zebra mussels and the coontail kind of changed all our lakes, and where I felt like I was a Jedi master of milfoil. Where I mean, I honestly feel like I could outfish anyone in milfoil.
Wouldn't bet against you.
I don't feel that way about coontail, and that's where they live now. So I don't know if I have a lot to offer, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's tough, right? Because grass changes.
Like I'm seeing that all over the country. Like
Really?
it's the same on Champlain.
That's-
It's out in New York. It's the same way.
So
like
there's not
milfoil.
foil?
There is still foil. They're
It's
just
just
not. It's not the deal anymore. The coontail I mean, even with the foil, it was always the deepest, best grass that they really, in summertime, were attracted to. And now, your milfoil stopping in that 10-foot range, and you got coontail out to 20, 25, whatever it may be.
So it's almost like it's layered itself more, like inside this.
Well, there's
you
a
can-
deeper option.
Yeah,
Before,
yeah.
like Minnetonka, when I started fishing out there, the weeds ended at 14 feet, or the milfoil stopped. There was nothing beyond that. And now there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it doesn't end.
yeah. So I think that's really, I don't think they're using milfoil like they used to.
I think I got a question of just something I've struggled with is like dead grass, right? Like we deal with a lot of dead grass up here, and I think that can be a daunting task as well when you've got a lot of dead grass. Obviously, look for the
You mean
alive
actually dead?
like
Yeah, brown.
late season, right? Whatever. So yeah, I'm looking for the alive grass, and once it dies, I look for the holes in it, or
Yeah.
the sand, or something like that. But I know guys that catch them in dead grass, and I just have a hard time flipping it because it sticks onto my shit,
Yeah.
and it's not very fun.
I mean, they're gonna go to the best grass they have if it's the
Yep.
only option. But the thing I've noticed when grass starts dying, and this is for all grass, that's really when your matted up stuff starts getting really good.
Sure,
Even if they're just blow-ins.
just junk mats.
Yeah, whatever it may be. You got good flipping grass until, sometime in September it starts dying off. And that's really when, you've had that matted up thick stuff shallow all summer. It hasn't really been a factor. They don't
Right.
really use it.
No.
When it starts dying off, they'll start following that up and
Sure.
moving shallower with it. But they're always, if everything's dead, it's the only option.
Right.
And, if 3/4 of it's dead and 1/4 of it's alive, obviously that's where your best stuff's going to be. And a lot of times, there's something else going on there if you guys are catching them out of dead grass and there's better options around. That might be a hard bottom area or a depth change or a stump or a tree, or there's something going on down there to keep that going. But
What about hydrilla and like some of that Gunnersville grass? Like I've heard
same.
there's milfoil there too.
yeah, same deal. It really starts get going good when it starts dying off, really.
Yeah.
Because the grass is going to grow so thick it's unusable, really, except for fish that big. When it starts dying off, you don't notice it at the time, but it's starting to create holes in there, make sparser, hollow areas underneath those mats
Oxygen
and
can
stuff
move
like
through,
that. The
like-
bass can move.
Yeah.
The bass can move through. Grass can get so thick that it's not conducive to a bass. You know what I mean? He
Right.
can't deal with a wall. He needs to be able to move through it as well. But like with the hydrilla stuff down south, like that's when, that's been a solid mat all summer long, and they really start catching them there frogging and punching in the fall, and that's because there's becoming hollow spots in there,
Sure.
in little areas where they can start to use it versus a solid, wall of grass that they can't navigate through.
Sure.
So that's why that stuff starts getting really good in the fall. It's really because of the voids that are being created by the grass dying off.
Makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that hard bottom gets covered up, so then those spots re-show themselves. Huh.
Yeah. You won't notice it till, later in the year, but
Right.
yeah, there's starting to be hollow spots in there when they start catching them really good. And
Sure.
we fished a tournament on Gunnersville one time in the fall, and day to day, it was like we were just losing grass by the minute, you know what I mean? Like giant matted areas were condensing into areas, the size of this room, so they started to get really good.
Sure.
And then,
Yeah,
you go back the next day, it'd be gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'd be like you just moved to the next best looking grass,
That all makes sense. I think what's hard for me as a guy who's not as good at approaching that, or I wouldn't say it's my strong suit, would be in the middle of Alaska. Not my strong suit. And I think what's tough for me, and probably a lot of other people, when you're in Florida and faced with a fucking pile of grass. Now, I've been to Florida and I know what to look for because I've seen it. It's you see a pile of grass and then there's a change right here, and like wind blows it and moves it the next day, but there's a window and you catch a 9.5 and a 5.5 off 2 casts, and then you look for that the rest of the week and can't find it.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, what I've experienced with, I compare it to Where's Waldo is kind of how I process it.
Florida is tougher though because the lakes are so shallow. You don't have an edge like you do up here.
Right.
You're kind of just on a giant flat.
Yeah.
Which makes it
Daunting.
a lot more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess to me it's a matter of the guys who are good even on like Weaver, right? Like that expansive grass and Weaver. Not some of the talking about Maine Weaver, that expanse, or that Maine on Alaska expanse. Like fish get in that.
Oh yeah.
How do I have 3 days of practice?
Yeah.
And I got to find fish.
Yeah.
In that. That's the daunting part.
It is.
I'd rather run Maine River shit.
Yeah.
That's more my deal. Like
it's a mindset.
Sure.
You gotta be okay with going half the day without getting a bite. You know what I mean? It's way easier to pull up to a wing dam and catch a 2-pound smallmouth than it is to hunker down in that grass and go 6 hours without a bite.
Yeah.
The difference in the grass is when you find them, they're yours.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wing dam you caught a 4-pounder on, 20 other boats fished it in practice.
Sure.
5 of them caught good fish off of it, and 4 of them are going to hit it in the tournament.
So what are some instances on that, big, expansive, daunting grass flat where you're going half the day without a bite, and then all of a sudden you run into, like, what does that look like? Or what are some times where you've, experienced that hardship and that success, going through that?
Yeah, it's all in your mind. You just got to be okay with,
Yeah.
I might find one spot today. But
I like that.
it's going to be a really good one. I'm going to have it all to myself, and there's going to be a bunch of them there.
That's how I practice the river.
Versus, you're fishing onesie-twosie stuff.
For sure.
I'm looking for a mother lode, and
Daggers.
it might take 2 days to find it.
Yep.
But I'm going to have it all to myself, and when I come back, they're going to be there.
Yep. Water level,
with
is it
grass
rising,
fishing.
falling? And grass fishing, to me, we talked about a little bit on the last podcast, and I'm happy you brought that up. It is a mindset.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the opposite of like the trending mindset that everybody watching YouTube learning how to catch a bass right now.
Yeah.
It's not that mindset.
No.
That's what I like
I'm
about
gonna make
it.
10,000. It's more like muskie fishing. Like
Put the fucking
I'm gonna
trolling
make
motor.
10,000 flips before my line jumps. You know what I mean?
Put the trolling motor in the water and flip, bud.
Yeah.
And cast.
Yeah.
And that's what YouTube ain't teaching nobody to do. And to me, like Tonka, the guys who are winning on Tonka, they're putting that time in. You know, it's not side imaging a spot. Everybody's side image Tonka.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. How about like flipping stuff, like modifications to flipping stuff? Like to me, what's interesting to me is how many flipping baits are out there, and how, like, from an elite's perspective, how much of a difference does that make dabbing a mat with this bait versus this bait, or flipping?
Probably not much. I mean, there's a little bit with some action stuff, but
I would agree.
say more of it's just confidence.
Yeah.
Like I got a few baits that I know.
I feel like weight. I mean, obviously you got to punch
there's
through.
definitely some fine tuning stuff, but as far as
When you're
you
not-
can pull out everybody's flipping bait, and you can catch a fish on
For
all
sure.
of them. Water temperature's really the biggest dictator in action. Cold. I like to flip a chunk on the back of my jig, no action. When it gets warm, I like a cross-style trailer where it's got some action. Pretty basic stuff though. Colors really basic. It's more placement and fall rate is really the key to all of that more than anything.
I think fall rate is probably one of, like, people will adjust their lure before they adjust their fall rate, and I feel like a lot of times just fall rate can change your day.
Yeah,
I've seen it, I felt it. It's amazing. So it's you have to fucking choose the bed you make. It's like, are you like, to me, you go down a bank and you can either go down a bank and go back and probably catch a few more, or keep going. And what's interesting to me with the the shallow game, as pressures picked up with high schoolers and you have what have you, is how much difference a change in technique going down the bank. How many fish people don't catch is just astonishing to me.
Yeah.
Shallow.
Yeah.
And how many tricks are coming out to catch some of those. I know, like, one thing that I've definitely slept on longer than I should have is like that gravity bait deal that's coming on. Like, I've caught fish behind, like, crazy amounts of fish behind people doing that. That just messes with my head a little bit. Like, how do you keep moving? Like, if I'm talking to Fothergill, how do you fucking keep going knowing that you could make those fish bite? You could make those fish bite.
I'm kind of looking for biters, man.
Yeah. Seems like there's less and less biters. Do you feel that way? Like, I
Yes
felt
and
that
no.
way watching Koyo shake a minnow and watching Christy go down the bank beginning of last year. I felt that.
Yeah.
Like, watching it, felt like there's less biters.
Yeah, well, there's
Like,
more water you got to
Less
cover.
dumb ones.
Yeah.
Like, they don't seem as dumb no more. Like, is that a thing? Is that...
Where there's pressure, for sure. I mean, there's still dumb ones in little lakes and places like
But
that.
everywhere you go...
Yeah, where I'm fishing, there's not many dumb ones, no.
And that just is just...
So I just got to look for biters.
You just do Seth Feider. Don't let me tell you nothing. I don't know shit. I don't know
mean,
shit.
There's
but-
a time and a place for both. I mean, if I'm obviously practicing, I'm not turning around, but
Yeah, fish behind a lot of people typically, right?
not really.
Really?
No. 100 boat fields, we're fishing
I
pretty
suppose.
big water. If I go anywhere and I see a boat, I just turn around. I don't want no part of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Come tournament day, that's different.
Sure.
But like in practice, I go back in a creek and there's a boat in there. I'm not fishing in there.
You don't fish like... Yeah, I get
Some guys
that.
do, but I don't.
No, I'm talking tournament.
But yeah, tournament day. I mean, fish are where fish are, and more than one person's gonna find them, and there's gonna be a couple people in there. But, you know, you gotta just look for biters. Really, I mean, there's definitely times where I'll come back and slow down and pick stuff apart, but that's usually because I'm limited on how much good water I've found.
Yeah.
You know, if I got one or two areas that's all I got, and I'm not in the position to start hunting new stuff, then yeah, I'm gonna work it over. But especially in multi-day tournaments, it's not like I'm not gonna be back there tomorrow. I'd rather
Right.
just catch the biters and keep moving if I have plenty of water to fish.
Yeah.
But
Maybe I was more talking from like the opens, hearing the opens guys talking about just hearing about the opens this year. It sounded like a fish small as like you're fishing behind people. If you're on them, you're
Yeah.
fishing behind people.
a lot, yeah. I noticed. I only fished one open this year, but I noticed that on the leech.
Sure.
Thing I noticed opens versus elite series. Seems like more areas get burned in practice in an open than they do on the elite series. They're out there for 5 days, and I feel like obviously the field's twice the size.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot more hook setting going on in an opens practice than there is on the elite series.
Sure.
So, you know, you're sending potentially just quick math. I mean, obviously it's not exact, but twice as many guys, twice as long a practice, 4 times as many, 4 times the fishing pressure essentially in practice.
That's the way I see
Plus, you know, a lot more undisciplined guys that want to jerk on everything that bites. So really, you're probably looking at 10 times the fish getting caught in practice in an open versus an elite series.
it. Right.
So you're
That's
obviously
crazy.
going to have a lot less biters in that scenario.
Man, like that's tough.
Yeah,
Fuck.
it is.
It's fucking tough.
It is.
Sounds hard.
It is. Opens are no joke.
Sounds hard, dude.
Yeah.
5 days is like more than those
It's way
guys.
too much.
Yeah.
It gets, it's redundant.
For sure.
So hopefully they shorten that up, but I don't know why they don't just go under the same as we do. 2.5, 3 days, whatever it is. I mean, that's what you're going to get when you
Yeah, if you're trying to prep a
fish
guy
elite
for
series.
that, you should probably prep him for 3.
If that's
not
your
5.
end goal, I don't know why they're not fishing exactly how we are.
if you're fishing the opens to not make the elites, you're stupid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance at a classic, but there's not much money as far as
Dude.
profiting. You're better off fishing a team tournament at home and sleeping in your own bed
Right.
than traveling somewhere and cashing a check in an opens. But the payout actually is a little better than it used to be. But
They
still
improved that
not.
for this year?
So what?
It wasn't that good last year.
Well,
Unless
it was
you
a lot-
win.
It was a lot better than when I fished it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
that's a good point.
I mean, you were making a little money when you cashed a check. You were breaking even cashing a check when I was fishing it at best.
I remember that season. You had like
I mean, checks were like $2,500. Now they're like $5,000.
that season was cool. Do you ever look back on that season? That was a fucking cool season.
Yeah.
Remember you had like a 6th and a 9th. That's all I remember.
The year I made the elites?
Yeah, you had
No,
good-
that's not true.
No?
I had 3 pretty mediocre. I don't think I ever finished worse than 30th, and I don't think I ever finished better than. I might have one top 10 in there, but
You had one top 10.
yeah.
I imagined the other one.
Yeah. So I just didn't mess up. That's all I did that year.
Yep.
But
That makes sense.
yeah, had a couple cool days that year, like last minute, like meant to be shit. Like I remember I ran down to Tycon. We fished on Champlain. I ran down to Ticonderoga. Caught him decent the first day. Ran back, and it was crazy, like windy the first day. Barely made it back. Worst boat ride of my life. Go back down the second day. It was calmer. Fish, catch a decent bag. I think I had 4 good ones and a rat. And the first day it took me like 2 hours to get back, and the second day I'm like, oh, fuck. I guess I'll give myself 2 hours to get back. I'm running up to like I get like almost up to takeoff. Clearly I have plenty of time. Just stop on like a random hump, never fished, middle of the lake, mid lake. Pull up there, catch a big smallmouth, call out my last little one, and then kind of had the same deal on St. Clair. I was running to Erie for the last open. Had 4 fish and a limit, but 1 dink, and got back, stopped out in front of takeoff. I don't know. Actually, no, I don't even think I had a limit, to be honest with you. I think I had 3 good ones and a dink. Stopped back in front of, a couple miles out in front of takeoff at St. Clair and caught 2 good fish in the last half hour. Got my limit, called my little one out, and made the Elite Series. So just kind of like meant to be shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I believe in that shit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
So
Meant to
like
be, will be.
Mark Zona, you're pretty tight with Mark Zona
Yeah.
now. What's your best Zona story? Like, you have to have a story for me. I'll go pee if you need to think of one. Like, I have to
The
pee.
longer I think, the worse it gets.
Okay.
I don't know if I got any really awesome Zona story. He's just,
What's the weirdest shit he's ever said to you?
he makes noises and shit, not even words. He's one of the weirder human beings I've ever shared a boat with. Super fun. Another guy, he could have been for sure Elite Series fisherman.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
Why
Like,
didn't he? Like, you guys have had to have talked about that.
He can't. It was like Tony Capra. Like, can't handle, just too
Too competitive?
competitive and too stressed to live that life. You know what I mean? You got to have a little bit of easy going to you to make
Yeah.
the Elite Series, because it's fishing tournaments, obviously.
It's losing a sport.
Yeah,
games.
you're gonna lose 99 times out of 100.
It's like NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't. I mean, could, but like didn't like what it did to him. Like
I can
know what I
fucking
mean?
relate with that.
you
Fucking,
get second in a BFL and just rage. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
But clearly
Nirvana
capable
unplugged
of
all the way
fishing.
home. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel Nirvana.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just, I want to feel something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, and it obviously worked out for him.
What's a
He's
cool,
made a
like,
good
trick
career.
Zona's taught you? Because you've been in the boat with him.
Oh.
You've given him some tricks.
A few, probably the coolest one's that chartreuse fluke deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, working it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of refined it a little bit. The way he showed it to me wasn't like that, but
Because how did he do it?
he did it with a spinning rod, and he kind of like slow pulled it,
Okay.
and then just wait for one to come up on it.
That's too slow.
lighter line, and
That's too slow.
yeah, I'm like straight ripping it on a flipping stick with like 20-pound line and boat flipping them.
That's why I learned to do it.
So that's probably the coolest trick. Yeah, I've won a lot of money on that trick he showed me.
Even on national stage?
Oh yeah, like St. Lawrence Forever for sure. I'm about flipping up.
Yeah.
4 or 5 pounder every year.
But I
on
mean,
that.
I just was curious. I know, like, you catch them on a fucking burning a fluke anywhere if the water's clean enough and there's smallmouth in there, but I've never fished these, so like, it's a thing there too.
For sure.
Cool.
For sure. Yeah.
What's your favorite smallmouth fishery in the world?
Can't say.
Don't have one.
I got one.
Why can't you say it?
We'll ruin it.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I guess
fair.
if we're saying public stuff, St. Lawrence River,
Okay.
Lake Ontario, awesome, no doubt.
I wasn't asking for your fucking little secret one.
One time I went out to Lake Oahe, and I swore that was the greatest fishery on planet Earth. 3 trips later, that's proven not to be true. I don't know what the hell happened that week I was out there. There was multiple people out there that all experienced the exact same thing I did. I don't know what was going on that week and why it's never been the same since, but
Seems to be a lake that it's kind of like a Gunnersville, where you have these magic windows, and then all of a sudden, like, 13 pounds is taken fucking 12th place.
I've never seen anything like that.
Really?
Like that week I went out.
Bigs?
I mean, I had a couple over 6.
Okay.
I had one big day, but just I went out there to pre-practice for the Elite Series when I went out there, so I guess it was the summer before, or whenever it may have been. There was multiple other Elite Series guys out there at the same time. But yeah, dude, you'd catch one, like basically anywhere that looked good for a smallmouth. There was a giant school there. You would catch one, the entire school would come sit underneath your boat, and you would just drop they were called Demiki rigs back then. I guess it's a jig head and minnow now. You would just literally drop it. Like, you'd just count them. Like, there'd be 50 under the boat, and you'd catch them.
Oh,
like,
my God.
you would count them down, and then all of a sudden there's like one left under the boat after you'd caught 49 of them, and you'd drop that bait 6 feet over the boat, and he'd grab it, and he'd set the hook and bring them in. Like, you'd catch the entire school.
Oh, my God.
You'd hook one, the whole school would come sit under your boat, and you would just sit there like tuna fishing like that until every one of them had been caught and swam away. And I'd never experienced anything like that in my life, and I thought that's how it was going to be when we went out there for that tournament. Austin ended up winning that one, but it was nothing nothing like that when I went back.
Oh, it seemed like a grinder when you got back there.
Yeah.
Which is...
So I don't know what happened that week, but I know Carl and a couple other guys were out there, and they all had that same experience. And just the most obvious stuff on the lake, it wasn't even sneaky.
God, I gotta think it has to do some with bait or pressure.
Yeah, there was. There was a bunch of big mullets swimming around when that was all going on, but they never acted like that since. I don't know what's going on with that. And maybe we just caught them all. I don't know.
I feel like there's like a fucking giant smallmouth boom happening even west of there right now.
For sure.
And I feel like by the time I get there, I'm gonna be late to the party. But
maybe way west, but not so far west. I don't think so.
Like Peck.
Yeah, the Peck's gonna break the state record probably every other year for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it looks tantalizing.
Yeah, I think the Idaho deal's that seems to be coming to an end. I shouldn't say coming to an end because it's still the best smallmouth fishery in the country as far as big ones go, but just seems like less 8-pounders got caught this year than the year before.
I'd love to catch one.
Yeah.
What's your biggest ever?
I got 3, just a hair over 7.
Yeah.
I got a 7.2, a 7.1, and then one I didn't weigh, which I believe to be my biggest one. But how are we gonna? I'll stand on that. I'll stand on that. It's a 7-pounder. I know that.
I believe you. Yep.
Because I caught it like a week after I caught a 7.1, and it was an inch longer and just as fat. So I know it was a 7, but I didn't have a scale on the boat. So 2 of those were out of Mille Lacs, and one was out of Sturgeon Bay. Caught the Sturgeon Bay one in the tournament, though, so at least that was.
Why aren't
good.
those leech fish more like Mille Lacs fish?
What do you
Mille
mean?
Lacs fish seem more easy to catch.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those leech. Like, I have no experience other than the open there this year.
Even Fothergill will tell you,
Yeah, they suck.
They suck, and
They
you need
suck.
to run 100 of them because
Yeah,
they suck.
yeah.
Like, must be a breed of like.
I don't know what the deal is because it isn't pressure.
No,
I mean, those, like, 'cause I went up there and pre-practiced a little bit. And
you
it
didn't
sucked
see a
them.
boat.
they sucked then, and I was the only person out fishing
Yep.
for them. It's
Yep.
not like I was the 20th person to that boulder. They were
No, they're
stupid
fucking
back then.
bitches.
Yeah.
They're bitches. And I don't understand why that smallmouth's a bitch and this smallmouth over here isn't. Like in Mille Lacs.
The Mille Lacs ones bite. I don't know.
They bite.
Yeah.
Like anyone who bitches about a Mille Lacs smallmouth, like yeah, pressure, but they still fucking bite better than
Yeah.
the leech ones.
Yeah. I don't know.
What
I've
lake,
never.
what other lake can you go to and bang a 3/4 ounce football jig around and catch 26 pounds of fucking bass?
Yeah.
Like
The leech
I
is-
haven't found one.
Those are the tweakiest smallmouth I've ever seen. Dude, I had one.
I don't have to read their Facebook
Dude, I had
posts, so
the
I'm
weirdest
fine.
one I've ever seen on leech. It was during the tournament. I'm throwing a minnow over a boulder. Oh fuck! Here he comes. Here he comes. He's coming up. He's coming up. I'm like, oh fuck! He didn't get it. Or no. It wasn't a minnow. It was a tube. My little tiny tube that's coming up.
Yeah.
I bomb it at the tube. Fucking hits the water. Starts going down. On scope. I'm like, oh, he's gonna fucking get it. I'm just waiting. I watch my bait go past him. He comes up, jumps 3 feet out of the water, and goes down.
What a
4
fucking
pounder.
prick.
Yeah.
That is a okay.
Like he came up from my tube and then like I don't know if it like grazed his body or something and he came and jumped 3 feet out of the water. I'm like I don't have a hook in him, nothing. He didn't even fucking eat my bait.
Bigger prudes than fucking chicks on Tonka.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
No, what I do
I
know,
don't know if my line rubbed him or something tweaked him out, but yeah, he jumped like he was hooked.
what I do know is I sold Matt Pangrak a fucking pack of Sakamoto shads for like $45.
Did
And
you?
caught a big bag on them the next day.
Nice.
But fuck that lake and them smallmouth. It's funny, you were telling me the side scope worked out there.
Mm-hmm.
The tournament, Dane and I took second. He had his ghost in the water, playing it calm day, just at his console, idling with
Yeah.
it, synced up. And I had a Garmin up front, not synced up.
Yeah.
And he was able to cover like fine.
Oh yeah. It saved a bunch of time because
Yep,
there are
he's
like
like bait,
specific
fish,
rocks they're
yep,
on, you know.
yep,
There's
and
a
he-
bunch of good looking rocks and there's 80 boulders and they're on that one. And
Yep,
it was
he
like, I
said-
could see that on side.
When he
scope.
saw it, he fucking just walked up, turned the motor off, walked up the front deck,
Yeah.
zzz, and then then he knew what to look for, and it was like
Yeah.
we wouldn't have done that good without him doing that.
Yeah, it just saved a lot of time.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. I gotta pee. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
You want to close this fucker down?
All right.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm good.
All right.
Teals Bass Galaxy. This is Seth Feider. Check it in. Checking out. Thanks, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime.